What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
1SS. Chapter 1 Your finger pistol is evolving. Advertise here. I traveled to the world of pirates and became a naval headquarters recruit. Xia En woke up from the plank bed, and just saw the surrounding environment for the first time. A message appeared in her mind, and she was stunned. Receiving the information made the brain feel a little swollen. Xia En's head was covered with cold sweat, and it took a long time to digest the information. It's confirmed, I have traveled to the world of One Piece. In the collective dormitory, each bed is filled with marine recruits who have just woken up, and I am one of them. Instinctively get up and pack up, and participate in today's training. It's hard, why do you have to train hard once you cross over? I am no stranger to crossing Xia En. I saw a lot of movies, novels and comics in my previous life, and I quickly accepted it, complaining from the bottom of my heart. They come, the security. Xia En is also open-minded. After all, being in the marine is much safer than crossing to other places on the sea, and she is preparing to participate in the marine training. But soon, the voices of the recruits, discussions and exchanges came to the ears. Hey, have you heard? A big event happened yesterday. No, I just trained here this morning, what's the big deal? It's the Whitebeard pirates. The strongest man in the world, a traitor appeared on his ship, killed his companions, and defected to the sea. Why? Who is so bold? That person is dead. It seems to be called Teach. There were no acquaintances in the recruit camp. Xia En was holding a wooden stick knife by herself, and was vigorously wielding it, with a fresh expression on her face, but her expression froze when she heard the news. F*K. Blackbeard betrays Whitebeard. Isn't that a precursor to the Summit War? I remember that Blackbeard, who fled out to sea because of the killing of his companions by Dark Fruit, gathered his men all the way, and then caught the ace who came after him and gave it to Marine, thus causing the biggest war event in One Piece. Summit War. That is, the island under Xia En's current feat, Marineford. It can't be so unlucky, my own system has no shadow yet, and I have no power to restrain the chicken. Xia En suddenly felt a little flustered, her current strength is completely like that of an ordinary person. If this strength reaches the Summit War, people in the rear may be shocked to death. There is no system in a short period of time. I have no hope of growing my own strength. Staying in Marineford will definitely be cannon fodder. Thinking of the strong men flying all over the sky, with sword energy of various abilities, Xia En felt a sense of helplessness. Fortunately, there was a period of time. How about sneaking out of Marineford to avoid the war before the time is right? I don't know how long the recruit camp will last. If you go out directly, you will become a deserter. There's no way, I'm already thinking of retreating. Xia En doesn't want to get lost soon after she first came to this world of pirates. At this time, a sharp whistle sounded. Assembly teaching. All go to the training ground. The recruits who were originally scattered and freely assigned training voluntarily lined up. Obviously this was not the first time. After Xia En digested the information, she also had a natural familiarity with it, so she let go of her thoughts and followed the cue. Large training ground under Marineford Fort. Neat standard white t-shirts, all passionate men with marine dreams. Momoshiki Gion and Shifu Cake walked slowly, looking very satisfied with the spirit of this year's recruits. In the queue, Xia En also saw the appearance of the big beauty Momoshiki and that wretched Uncle Jaji, staring at Momoshiki intently. Today's group teaching, Mr. Garp has no time to come, and Momoshiki Vice Admiral and T-Dolphin Vice Admiral will act as substitutes. A rear admiral in a suit, a western hat, a long sword, and a coat of justice said loudly to everyone. As a pirate fan, Xia En remembers that this guy is Bogart, the adjutant of marine hero Garp. It turns out that Garp is in charge of this recruit camp, no wonder everyone is very serious. T-Dolphin, Momoshiki, two well-known vice admirals came to teach, and the hundreds of recruits below were a little excited. This is alternate admiral. Garp must have gone back to East Blue's hometown to be lazy on vacation. These two must be very strong. I don't know what they will teach. Xia En thought to herself. According to my own information, the previous training was all about physical fitness and nothing else. I couldn't help but wonder if I would teach hockey. Obviously, Xia En thought too much. Hockey can only be mastered by officers at the general level. For recruits, even Marine 6 styles have not been taught. The T-Dolphin stood up with narrowed eyes and said, "Today I will teach you the finger pistol in Marine 6 styles. Concentrate all the strength on the index finger, and release a blow with the hardened finger. The fingertip has the attack power of a bullet." While explaining the finger pistol, Marine carried the stake target. The recruits, including Xia En, watched intently. After all, Xia En is also very curious about these things, and learning can improve her own strength. As the T-Dolphin spoke, he demonstrated it to everyone. The outstretched index finger hit the stake target like lightning, and the entire target was penetrated lightly. The power comparable to a bullet made the recruits excited. The same is true for Xia En. But just after the T-Dolphin finished using finger pistol, a voice suddenly appeared in Xia En's mind. Open black lens bracket Marine 6 styles. Finger pistol has been reproduced successfully. Close black lens bracket. This skill has limited power and is undergoing evolution. I have a system. Xia En was ecstatic from the bottom of her heart, and almost couldn't help showing a strange expression. It was only called by the system once before, so it turns out that the system already exists in me. This was a huge surprise. Xia En immediately tried to open the system panel. As expected, only the interface that you can see appears in front of your eyes. Open black lens bracket extreme training system close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket host. Xia En close black lens bracket. Comprehensive value 120. Skill learned. Marine 6 styles. Finger pistol evolving. Note: the host can reproduce all the moves and skills in the field of vision, and increase the upper limit to evolve into more powerful moves and skills. Acquisition of skills can quickly improve the strength of the host. Close black lens bracket. The panel is simple, but Xia En was overjoyed when she saw the comment and the 3 words, evolution. It's raining just in time. If it wasn't for the wrong occasion, Xia En would want to look up to the sky and laugh right now. The system is very powerful. To put it simply, if you forge skills, you will become stronger yourself. Simple and crude, but what excites Xia En even more is that it can be reproduced and evolved. With this ability, there is no need to worry about the impact of the top battle in the near future. Even I may not be able to enter the world stage myself. The road to the top has clearly appeared before Xia En's eyes. It is even more refreshing to watch the evolution on the system panel. Finger pistol evolves. What skills will it evolve? Chapter 2 The magic gun light killing guns are out. Advertise here. The key to finger pistol is to concentrate on one point and explode. Well, you can practice freely. After the T-Dolphin demonstrated the finger pistol, he retreated decisively after giving some instruction. Standing directly next to Momosuke and chatting obsequiously. The recruits on the training ground all brought targets and began to practice according to the finger pistol tips taught by the T-Dolphins. Marine 6 styles, a powerful move that only the recruits in the headquarters can practice. The recruits present naturally practiced it carefully and seriously. After a while, the T-Dolphin didn't pay attention to the situation on the field at all, but Momosuke didn't slack off, paying attention to the free practice of the recruits on the training field. Finger pistol, as long as you practice enough, you can always master it. Seeing that Momosuke cared about the recruit practice, the T-Dolphin said relaxedly. That being said, this year's recruit training is also very serious. But, what is that guy doing? Momosuke pointed to the back of the line. She has long observed that when everyone else started practicing finger pistol, one person remained motionless. The dazed guy was none other than Xia En, with a blank expression. Xia En was still immersed in the research of her own system panel, and didn't realize that she was being noticed by Momosuke at all. But the T-Dolphin's expression changed at this moment. Hey, boy, how dare you be lazy in front of the instructor? Without further ado, the T-Dolphin frowned and stepped forward, calling out, "What are you doing, recruit?" Immediately, everyone in the audience paused, and they all found Xia En standing there in a daze. Bogart even yelled, "Xia En, get out. This guy is usually very hardworking, why did he get confused at a critical moment?" It's over, I was so fascinated that I forgot that I was in a training camp. Only then did Xia En come to her senses, and found that everyone in the audience was staring at her, so she stood up in embarrassment. You go forward, Chifu Jaji said seriously. Since Momosuke cares about the training of recruits, and happens to encounter thorns, use this recruit to set up a model and teach him a good lesson. This can deter other recruits from slacking off, and at the same time satisfy Momosuke. Yes, it is like that. The T-Dolphin made up his mind and watched Xia En stride forward. The recruits in the audience were not familiar with Xia En, so they watched with some gloating. This is naval headquarters, and being caught slacking off by an instructor is no small feat. Oops, I'm going to be killed as an example. When called to step forward, Xia En felt like being called out by the teacher and punished to stand. You are very calm. You must have already learned finger pistol. Then you can demonstrate it to everyone and share your experience. The T-Dolphin obviously wanted to keep Xia En from stepping down, so he locked him down with one word. Either admit to being lazy and be punished by military regulations, or show the finger pistol. Xia En found that she really didn't know how to explain. Then show everyone the finger pistol you understand. The T-Dolphin was expressionless, and moved away with a wave of his big hand. It was a stake target. This guy is really courageous, this is good, he was caught by Vice Admiral on the training ground. Don't look, I'm sure I can't use finger pistol. How many minutes have I been teaching? No matter how talented I am, I can't use it. Deliberately, the punishment for waiting will definitely not be light. The recruits focused their eyes on Xia En and whispered. Xia En is not riding a tiger, he hesitates to say that he can't, or try to use the reproduced finger pistol. As a result, at this time, the system prompt sounded again. Open black lens bracket 6 forms. Finger pistol has successfully evolved into a magic light cannon. Close black lens bracket. Congratulations to the evolution of host skills and gaining comprehensive physique growth. Close black lens bracket. The two reminders sounded like the sounds of nature in Xia En's mind, making him confused again. What? System, finger pistol, evolve into a magic light gun for me. Xia En was surprised and delighted, and a little unbelievable. I'm in the world of One Piece, and you just give me the big move in the world of Dragon Ball. The magic penetrating light kills the cannon, Piccolo's favorite move, so it goes without saying how strong it is. The system is worthy of being a system, it is really strong and big enough. What? Don't you dare come up and show it. You still need to use finger pistol, and this 6-style training allows you to rest on the sidelines. The T-Dolphin thought it had shocked Xia En, but when he saw that he was silent and still, he urged him again. It's just that the tone has become a little cold. Momosuke stood casually aside, also looking at Xia En's expression, feeling a little strange in his heart. It stands to reason that this guy either chooses to be punished or bites the bullet. Why is he still standing there? At this time, Xia En walked forward slowly after hearing the voice of the T-Dolphin urging again. Try it, I have a system, so there is nothing to be afraid of. You can't admit cowardice at all. The T-Dolphin saw Xia En's actions. Hey, really want to use finger pistol too? The recruits also went from whispering to a little noisy. Hey, Xia En is really going to try. He hasn't practiced just now, has he? Just want to use the 6 moves. Just admit that you are lazy, and then you will be punished. If you are so stubborn, you have to go up and make a fool of yourself. Gloating, the recruits were not optimistic about Xia En's actions, thinking it was a waste of time. You don't need to attack me against the stake, just so I can better test how far you have mastered finger pistol. The T-Dolphin suddenly grinned, and really regarded Xia En as someone who understood what finger pistol could use. This is actually normal. In the final analysis, it is to control one's own power and concentrate on launching it with fingers. It is not surprising that talented people can quickly master it. But at this time, the training camp is the recruit camp of naval headquarters, and it is not possible to ignore military regulations if you are talented. That, T-Dolphin instructor, I dare not use it on you, it will be fine if you get hurt in a while. Xia En looked at the T-Dolphin standing in front of her and said bluntly. Ha 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 ha, the recruits couldn't help but burst into laughter. This year's recruit is really. Momosuke looked helplessly at the T-Dolphin. This is a real thorn. Some grandstanding. So, you still think about me. The T-Dolphin almost laughed out of anger, and was speechless in his heart. Especially after feeling Momosuke's gaze. He waved his hands impatiently. No matter what the result is, it will be mine. Hurry up. Regardless of whether this guy really mastered the finger pistol today, he has to teach him a lesson. Recruit dares to say that it hurts the instructor, too arrogant. Xia En didn't talk nonsense, and thought in her heart that she would try to evolve into a magic gun and how powerful it is. Immediately, the index finger and middle finger formed a sword, tapped on the forehead, and assumed a posture of launching. The T-Dolphin took a look, and couldn't help but become more impatient, and scolded. I told you to use finger pistol, you don't even have the right posture. As a result, before he finished speaking, an indescribable feeling made the T-Dolphin feel cold all over. The feeling of being locked in. And Xia En's finger on the forehead in the line of sight, actually shone brightly. Chapter 3 The Power of Terror, even the T-Dolphin can't bear it. Advertise here. It happened so fast. Except for the locked T-Dolphin, even Momosuke didn't react at once. When her expression changed, Xia En's finger suddenly pointed at the T-Dolphin. Magic light killing cannon. The light blue shock wave wrapped around a streamer, with a slight magnetoelectric effect, burst out from Xia En's hand, and rushed straight towards Chifujaji. What the hell is this? The T-Dolphin reacted in a blink of an eye, and was so frightened that he broke into a cold sweat. The power of this shock wave can definitely injure himself under normal circumstances. Unable to change his mind anymore, he crossed his hands in a blocking posture in desperation, armament hockey surged, and the black hardening quickly covered the whole body of the T-Dolphin. After exactly 0.5 seconds of completion, the magic penetrating light killing cannon hit the T-Dolphin's arm cross, and the continuous impact had a huge penetrating power. But obviously because the energy released by Xia En is limited and cannot penetrate the armament hockey of the T-Dolphin, the magic light cannon that can be released still repels the T-Dolphin forcefully. It wasn't until the ground was covered with dust, and the obvious sliding track was more than 10 meters, that the Mogon light cannon stopped. The T-Dolphin let go of his hands, feeling the pain from his arms, and looked up at Xia En in disbelief, feeling a little dazed. No matter how powerful it is, it can pass through my armed color. Even more powerful, it can really hurt. How can this be? You told me it was finger pistol. At this time, the recruits and Bogart were dumbfounded and shocked. Is this Nima dazzled? A brilliant shock wave erupted from Xia En's fingers and knocked out the middle-level T-Dolphin. You mean, finger pistol? How is it possible? What the hell is going on here, Xia En he? Everyone was shocked. The closest Momosuke Gion was even more shocking. She felt very clearly in this position when the power of the Modong light cannon exploded. The power is huge, and how did this energy burst out? Air, stamina, hockey. Xia En retracted her fingers, feeling excited. The feeling of releasing a powerful move, so good. Big Devil Piccolo's magic gun cannon needs to save more power to maximize its power, but it is only for the test of the T-Dolphin and naturally does not need a full blow. But even so, Xia En herself could feel the terrifying power of the magic gun. In single target damage, it is definitely a weapon that breaks defenses. Xia En, what is this? The bewildered T-Dolphin finally came to his senses, and hurriedly asked while striding back. Who the hell are you? What kind of move was that just now? Momosuke also pressed his palm on the long knife at his waist, and asked with cold eyes. Can a recruit unleash such a powerful move? Reasonable or not, it's not normal. And this is naval headquarters, which cannot allow anyone with a different heart to break in. The more he thought about it, the more dignified he became. The T-Dolphin and Momosuke were at an angle, and they were about to make a serious move in the next second. Hey, Momosuke Vice Admiral, T-Dolphin Vice Admiral, wait. Xia En quickly waved her hand to show her innocence and stopped the hostility between the two. I almost forgot about this, and if I don't explain it clearly, the two people who were greatly shocked may have to push themselves to the ground before asking questions. This is what I just learned from Finger Pistol. I said I was in a daze because I had an epiphany. Xia En immediately shouted innocent regardless of whether the reason was valid or not. The move that can hurt Vice Admiral is something you just learned. Can it be more outrageous? The T-Dolphin stared, and what appeared in his hand was no longer the blackened armed color, but emission hockey. Say, who are you? Momosuke shouted even more coldly, and his momentum rose. Can you stop being so excited? I am innocent, and Bogart Rear Admiral can prove it. Being regarded as a dangerous person, Xia En couldn't help but frowned, and said calmly. Mr. Garp has personally verified these recruits, and there is indeed no problem with his identity. Only then did Bogart come to his senses, and hurried up to smooth things over. This is a fact, and it cannot be counterfeit after verification. The T-Dolphin and Momosuke were stunned for a while, and slowly put away their aura, a little embarrassed. The recruits below were shocked and speechless after watching such a scene, and they all felt their throats were dry and swallowed. Almost Xia En also matched up with the two alternates Admiral. Sorry, we still have the necessary vigilance, but you said that you learned this kind of move from Finger Pistol, it's too outrageous. The T-Dolphin mentioned the word outrageous for the second time. Teach you Finger Pistol can realize this thing. It's just too incredible. Yeah, if I hadn't personally picked you up to Marineford, I would have doubted your identity now. Can this understanding do this? Bogart was also puzzled and said bluntly to Xia En. This is the first time I've seen such a thing. Momosuke shook his head, eyes full of surprise and curiosity. Xia En will not respond. Because the system prompt in my mind came out again. I am very excited about the first successful use of the magic light cannon, and I have improved by 10%. Close black lens bracket. Progress. There is still progress. Could it be that his Meow can continue to evolve? Xia En was surprised again. Didn't it mean that after the evolution of his skills, he could still continue to improve and increase his power, even a second evolution, a third evolution? This is too cool. If it evolves the power of a human star destroyer, who in this world can take a blow from me? Hey, why are you in a daze again? The annoyed voice of the T-Dolphin interrupted Xia En's fugue. Ah, didn't you say you learned it from Finger Pistol? Let's see it again. The T-Dolphin said angrily. Are all geniuses so easily distracted? Try again. Let's take a closer look at the moves you learned from Finger Pistol. Momosuke also spoke out, otherwise too unbelievable. All right, Xia En shrugged, but this time the T-Dolphin did not say to attack itself, but raised the wooden stake target and went 20 meters away. Come on, attack it this time. Xia En nodded, put her fingers together and pressed the sword between her eyebrows again. Look, at this moment, everyone present couldn't help watching Xia En's every move nervously. Momosuke and Bogart all stared at each other carefully. The recruits held their breath one by one, and wanted to find out the problem, and see if it had anything to do with Finger Pistol. But the power of the Motongwang cannon is still astonishing even if it does not reserve power. Following the movement of Xia En's hand, the shock wave sprints straight as if it has a penetrating force. With a bang, the stake target exploded immediately, and the rotating shock wave continued unabated, and flew straight to the forest on the side of Marineford. Amidst the rumbling sound, it exploded while penetrating the mountain. Chapter 4 It feels great to kill the cannon with magic gun light, 10% improvement. Advertise here. Oh my god. The T-Dolphin standing not far from the stake was so startled that its jaw would drop. Finger Pistol can also comprehend this powerful trick. The wooden pile target is directly smashed, and the powerful long-distance shooting in the mountains and forests can cause an explosion. Comparable to Kizaru Admiral's laser. Bogart looked stunned and exclaimed in amazement. The attack on the T-Dolphin did not have such a fierce effect at all, but now it is more proficient and more powerful. Momosuke can also see that this is indeed an attack from Xia En, and has no other abilities. But it was precisely because of this that she felt so shocked. What kind of freak is this guy who learned such a powerful move from Finger Pistol? For a while, the recruits on the training ground and the three instructors were all stunned. After seeing it with their own eyes, and repeating it twice, everyone believed it and was completely blinded. All of a sudden, the audience fell silent. Magic light killing cannon causes powerful damage, it feels very cool, 10% improvement. Close black lens bracket. Another reminder sounded. Xia En is not as surprised as before now, but she improved twice easily, 20%, which is very gratifying. Open the panel and have a look. Open black lens bracket extreme training system close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket host. Xia En close black lens bracket. Strength stage. Normal. Comprehensive value. 600. Learned skill. 20% magic penetration light cannon, finger pistol evolution. Even his own strength is rising. Simply releasing skills can also improve, that is, as long as your physical strength can keep up, you can continue to improve. Xia En couldn't help being a little excited. Judging from the 2 releases of the magic penetration light killing cannon, the consumption of his physical strength is not great, and 5 or 6 consecutive times are not a problem. Haha, this can't take off. At this time, the people present finally came to their senses and looked at Xia En in the field. What's your name? Momosuke took a deep breath, his eyes changed completely. It is no longer the same as it was when facing recruits. The summer of summer, the grace of ends. Can you pass on the new moves of perception? Although it is inappropriate to ask, the power is really different from that of finger pistol, Momosuke asked with a slightly embarrassed expression. T-Dolphins, Bogart and the recruits all looked at Xia En expectantly. Comparable to Kizaru's laser, there are not many people who are not tempted by this powerful move. And it was Xia En who learned it from finger pistol. The 3 generals present couldn't help but think that if it can be taught, Marine's strength will definitely lead to an explosion. Originally, I thought Xia En would hesitate, so I was ready to persuade him with words, but what I didn't expect was that Xia En simply nodded. Then, let's talk about it first. The T-Dolphin felt ashamed and flustered, and he was still arrogant before. Of course Xia En didn't resist. In fact, I also want to know whether the system can be learned by outsiders after the system evolves the skills. After all, this is a move in the Dragon Ball world, and energy is originally chi. But now what I can use consumes physical strength. Similar to finger pistol, the strength of the whole body is concentrated at one point. Xia En told the truth, telling the whole process including the key points of using the magic gun to kill the cannon. Saying that, Momosuke and the T-Dolphin looked at each other, and started experimenting with the stake. According to Xia En, how to mobilize power, start movements, etc. But even if the 2 of them recorded the whole process of the magic gun light killing cannon, and launched it on the wooden stake many times. But there is no such effect as Xia En. The closest it came was Momosuke creating some air blasts that knocked the stakes down. That's all. No, according to your state of being able to emit shock waves, I can't do it. Momosuke and T-Dolphin entered the state of learning and stood there to communicate with Xia En. Xia En also has nothing to hide, bluntly saying that she uses physical strength to activate it. As for how the light waves appear, it is really unclear. How about we try hockey instead? Momosuke and T-Dolphin don't know why, but Xia En is really teaching very hard, thinking that it is their own problem, and they don't understand the essence. As everyone knows, the 3 of them, including Bogart, were all concentrating on researching the magic light cannon. The recruits in the training ground are completely confused. This, alternate admiral learning moves from recruit. Who is teaching whom? Isn't today the first training session to learn the 6 styles? It's the other way around, the 2 alternates admiral learned from Xia En. This scene was so dramatic that all the recruits wondered if they were hallucinating from being too tired from the physical training yesterday. However, it went on like this for over an hour. How could Momosuke and the T-Dolphin not be able to use the magic light to kill the cannon? They had no choice but to let go gradually. I did something wrong before, don't worry about it. The T-Dolphin is still very straightforward, and now he feels like he is in the same generation as Xia En, he explained with a smile. Understood, do your best. Xia En is not so stingy, she also smiled. Your moves are difficult for us to learn, and it seems that we need more time. You are a genius, but don't be too slack. Momosuke obviously still remembers how Xia En was in a daze. I have an epiphany. Xia En made a haha. Then let's do this first, let's leave first. Momosuke nodded, and left with the T-Dolphin and Bogart. Come on, Marine will definitely have a place for you. Before leaving, the T-Dolphin gave a word of encouragement. After the free practice was announced, the 3 of them headed towards the fortress. Xia En looked at their backs and didn't say much. I don't need to think about it, I know that they are going to report, mainly because the talent they have shown is too heaven-defying. And in Marineford, the explosion that just hit the forest also needs to be dealt with. The instructors leave, although it is free training. But those recruits rushed forward immediately, crowding Xia En. Xia En, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. I admire you so much. The 2 vice admirals are very optimistic about you, and their attitudes have completely changed. After today, you will be different, Marine will definitely promote you, maybe the future will be admiral. In the future, don't forget to take good care of our contemporaries. A bunch of people flattered and flattered, they offered to help Xia En, and they took care of her in the future, worshipping and flattering her. Xia En couldn't help but have black lines on his face. No world is free from such people. It's not like I didn't notice the schadenfreude just now, isn't it too late to curry favor now? But the position of admiral. I can't do it well, I can definitely sit if I want. Chapter 5 Akainu was careless and didn't flash. Advertise here. Marineford, Marshal's office. The Whitebeard pirates have defected, Teach seems like we didn't know each other before. Marine Marshal Sengoku looked at the file on the table, the name Marshal D. Teach. D is the name of D again. Whitebeard Pirates is on the list of members, but this person is not active. I didn't expect to do such a thing. Granny Crane responded. Now the Whitebeard Pirates are crazy, let's try not to conflict. After pondering, Sengoku said to everyone present. In addition to Grandma Suru, the General Staff, Admiral Akainu, Kizaru, and Aokiji are all listed. The Marshal's words were naturally addressed to the admirals who have the right to move freely. In special cases, you still have to avoid Whitebeard's wrath, the world's strongest man is very dangerous. Isn't it a good opportunity to take advantage of this opportunity to attack the Whitebeard Pirates? You can also make arrangements to attract them. Akainu said with a stern look on his cold face. Don't think Whitebeard is a fool, Sakazuki. Sengoku glanced at Akainu faintly. Still have to talk, but at this moment. Momoshiki, T-Dolphin and others are here. Why are you here? Seeing the hurried look of the two, Sengoku asked curiously. Marshal Sengoku, originally we were coaching the recruit for Mr. Garp, but we found out that there is an amazing recruit. T-Dolphin, Momoshiki hurriedly said after saluting. Recruit, how big can it be? Kizaru Pelusolino looked surprised. But I don't think so in my heart. Not only him, Akainu Sakazuki, Aokiji Kuzan are not serious at all. It's because of this that you came directly to see the Marshal. Akainu said with a frown. Because I just wanted to continue talking about dealing with the Whitebeard Pirates. And how outrageous a recruit can be, as for being in such a hurry. I almost missed the finger pistol he was using just now. Seeing the scene, the T-Dolphin seemed a little disapproving, and spoke directly. That recruit's finger pistol is as powerful as Kizaru Admiral's laser light. Momoshiki immediately added. At this, Granny Crane and Sengoku were also surprised. Kizaru raised his eyebrows and looked at Momoshiki seriously. You can't make random comparisons, Gion. Sengoku nodded slightly. It is true, Mr. Sengoku. Momoshiki said very seriously, the expression was not joking at all. The T-Dolphin even said bluntly, if it weren't for this, we wouldn't have come here in a hurry. That recruit's comprehension is really outrageous. He can comprehend the power of finger pistol. Speaking of which, there was an explosion sound from the back mountain just now. Aokiji's sleepy eyes now became more energetic, and asked. It's his finger pistol. It's so powerful, it penetrates the target and hits back into the forest, it's outrageous. The T-Dolphin nodded affirmatively. Mr. Sengoku, why don't we go and have a look? Kizaru simply stood up at this moment and suggested. Good guy, if you compare your own ability, you should see if it is really that strong. Finger pistol can play such a power. Sengoku instinctively questioned, but these words were brought by the two T-Fish and Momoshiki, and they were very serious. This has a strong authenticity. But things were somewhat outrageous, and Sengoku wanted to see for himself, so he nodded and got up. The recruit was brought by Garp, right? Granny he got up without saying a word. Obviously going to check it out too. Quote. Akainu didn't speak, but he was surprised but also didn't believe it completely. Recruit. Finger pistol is as powerful as the fruit ability. It is indeed outrageous, but if it is true, it is a truly rare talent. This is also the real reason why everyone wanted to see it for themselves, so it was very straightforward, and everyone present was curious and set off. Led by T-Dolphin and Momoshiki, they went directly to the training ground. At the training ground at this time, the battles surrounding Xia En gradually dispersed. Because Xia En doesn't pay much attention to them, flattering is useless. Unexpectedly, not long after the free training, Chappie, Momoshiki, and Bogart came over again. And also brought Marshal Sengoku, Crane Staff Officer, and 3 admirals with the highest combat power in Marine. Needless to say, Admiral is synonymous with the highest combat power, the dream and spirit of the entire Marine, and a powerful name. And Sengoku is the leader, Marine is the pinnacle, and Granny Crane is a legendary legend. Such a battle immediately stunned everyone present, and they were so frightened that they broke out in a cold sweat, all of them revered and saluted tall and straight amidst their excitement. Until Sengoku stood in front of Xia En under the guidance of the T-Dolphin and said, "What's your name?" Xia En. At this time, the recruits present were startled from their dazed state. The few people who can see the top of Marine are all because of Xia En. For a while, everyone envied Xia En for getting so much attention. Marshal, Admiral came to recruit camp to meet him in person. Xia En was surprised to see so many acquaintances, all at once. Sengoku of Buddha, 3 Admiral, and Granny Crane. As a pirate fan, I am really familiar with them. As a result, at this time, Akainu was sure that it was the finger pistol used by Xia En. He stood up directly, and said with a blank expression, "Take action against me, use your move. Instead, we need to see if the newcomer that Gion admires is really so good. How strong can finger pistol be realized to be comparable to Kizaru's laser power?" Xia En naturally understood the reason why these people came in person, but she was also a little confused by Akainu's attitude of letting himself make a move as soon as he came up. It really is the world of One Piece, straightforward enough. Come on then. Xia En nodded, and stood up straight to face Akainu, not at all deterred by Admiral, the invisible aura of the Marshal. Sengoku, Granny He and others watched Xia En's every move calmly, nodding secretly in their hearts. At least this young man has a lot of courage, and most people are more or less nervous and stiff when facing Admiral. Xia En didn't intend to hide his clumsiness, and pressed his finger to the center of his eyebrows, and the magic gun was ready to kill immediately. The recruits couldn't help swallowing their throats, and all of them became nervous when they saw this scene. It turned out to be shooting against Admiral. The shock wave of the magic penetrating light cannon shoots directly, and the direct shot spins around. In the flash of lightning, the marshals and admirals present couldn't help staring. Not simple. As soon as the animal force was released, Akainu had already felt that feeling when he was locked, and couldn't help but let go of the hand on his chest. Until Xia En's magic gun shot out, the pupils shrank immediately. Akainu was startled and sensed the powerful power. He had missed the best defense opportunity. If he didn't hide, he might be injured. But this distance. Too close. Chapter 6 Xia En, you have been promoted exceptionally. Advertise here. The light flowed like a light wave shooting at an extremely fast speed. At such a short distance from the shock wave of the magic gun, Akainu has lost the best chance of defense. At the critical moment, Akainu's body was elementalized extremely quickly. The spinning shock is just around the corner. The body turned into magma almost at the same moment as the magic gun cannon. Call out. The magic light-killing cannon passed Akainu's shoulder, and the castration continued unabated, passing through the outer wall and heading towards one of the mountains in Marineford. The starting point is Xia En's finger, but the landing point is the towering peak of Marineford. In the boom, the mountain peak was directly pierced, and with the explosion, large pieces of rubble collapsed. Faced with such a powerful scene, the recruits present all opened their mouths wide in fright, the words of shock stuck in their throats and they couldn't utter them at all. Xia En actually attacked Admiral and pierced Akainu's body. This guy really took the finger pistol to this level. Sengoku, Grandma Crane, Aokiji, Kizaru and others all had a huge change in their eyes. Before the start, they didn't expect this effect at all, and they were very surprised. The aura just now was really amazing. From the start to the brushing of Akainu's shoulder, its shape and power far exceeded everyone's expectations. But in the next second, the eyes of the high-level people present became a little horrified. Akainu looked back from the explosion behind him and stared at Xia En solemnly. The elementalization on the body gradually changed to a normal form, and the scratches on the shoulders appeared. The epaulets of the coat of justice were pierced directly, and the bright red was especially dazzling on the white coat. Akainu's whole expression became complicated, and he couldn't believe it. How can it be? Akainu with Logia ability was injured. Sengoku, Admiral and Granny Crane, who were originally astonished, were even more shocked now. As we all know, to deal with Logia's flowing body, Haki can only cause damage to it except for the attributes of Shonk. But not without exceptions, such as absolute attacks. It's not impossible for the attack power to reach a certain level. Grandma Crane murmured in amazement, as if responding to the surprise in Sengoku's heart. It is more powerful than the power used just now. The T-Dolphin on the other side looked at Xia En's back in disbelief, and couldn't help but tremble in his heart. It seems that it was less than an hour from leaving to coming back. Could it be that Xia En had a deeper understanding of finger pistol during this time? That's right, this power is at least 20% stronger. Even Sakazuki's elemental body can be damaged. Momosuke said bluntly with a surprised tone. This is the result that no one expected. Sengoku and Granny Crane looked at each other, full of dignity. It's called finger pistol. The attack can also damage Logia's body without Haki. If it weren't for Momosuke, the statement of the T-Dolphin and the witness at the scene, Sengoku would never believe that there is such a technique. This kind of power can really be compared with sparkling fruit. Kizaru's mouth became O-shaped, and he said it was terrible. It can be said that those present who saw such a scene were not shocked. You really teach finger pistol? Aokiji frowned slightly, and turned to Momosuke and the T-Dolphin in surprise. It's not that I don't believe it, but I really doubt it. The sharp impact, the huge penetrating power, and the speed are very fast. Finger pistol, finger cannon, really, and compared to the previous two casts, one is better than the other. Momosuke nodded seriously, wanting to continue trying to learn this technique in her heart. It's very tempting to see the power displayed by Xia En. Better every time. Aokiji froze slightly, surprised in his heart. Then fell silent, just looking at Xia En who retracted his movements, he didn't know what he was thinking. And at this time, Akainu took a step forward, took a serious look at Xia En as he passed by, and said, "You are very good." This is not a demonstration warning, but for Akainu's personality, this is a sign of admiration, a kind of recognition. He is different from Aokiji. No matter what, he can hurt himself to the point of bleeding, as long as Xia En is sure that there is no problem, he is a newcomer that Marine deserves to focus on training. The recruits below originally saw Akainu's elemental body being penetrated. Now he could see the bloodline on Akainu's shoulder more clearly, and the already shocked expression was even more stunned. No, you read that right. Akainu Admiral is bleeding. This is tantamount to dropping a bomb in the hearts of everyone, making them dizzy. Looking at Xia En is like watching a monster. After launching the attack, the magic gun light cannon licked the incredible blood, another 10% improvement. Close black lens bracket. A system prompt sounded in Xia En's mind. It's very human. Injure Akainu. Feel that the blood can improve, it is indeed a skill of system evolution. But now Xia En is familiar with the strangeness, and she doesn't have the absent-minded appearance before. After putting away his movements very calmly, he faced the shocked Marines. Marshal Sengoku also hurriedly asked at this time, Xia En, how did you learn it? Is it really just finger pistol? The wise marshal looked closely at Xia En, as if he wanted to see something different from Xia En's answer. But unfortunately, even in the face of Sengoku, known as the resourceful general, Xia En still replied very calmly, yes, I realized it when the T-Dolphin instructor taught finger pistol. It's incredible. Grandma Crane moves in the same way as Sengoku. If they really want to observe a person, there is a high probability that they will be able to see whether the person in front of them is lying. However, it turned out that Xia En didn't have that kind of abnormality. It's like a sudden epiphany, and I learned it naturally. To be honest, I don't know how to explain it specifically. Except that Xia En did not reveal the real system, everything else is true. The evolution of finger pistol is indeed an epiphany. Hearing this, Sengoku, Granny Crane and Admiral were all speechless, but at the same time had to believe that this was the truth. Akainu, Aokiji, and Kizaru couldn't help showing a different emotion. Marine, another real evildoer is about to appear, an absolute monster of a new era. Sengoku also paid more attention to Xia En from the bottom of his heart. Marine needs a new generation of leaders, and also needs more monsters than those pirates. Xia En is undoubtedly the best choice. From finger pistol, you can understand first-class moves, and your strength is still growing rapidly. He can definitely be a leader in the future and should be cultivated well. So Sengoku reacted quickly, whispered to Bogart for a while, and after confirming Xia En's recruit naturalization report, he announced on the spot. Recruit Xia En, because of your outstanding talent performance, decided to promote you to Colonel Marine. Chapter 7 Colonel Marine, Kizaru Disciple. Advertise here. Colonel. The recruits suddenly let out a burst of alarm. From recruit to colonel, how many levels does it span? This time, Xia En even saved time in the recruit camp, and the recruit became a general-level officer within a few days. The three admirals didn't have this kind of promotion speed before. I have to say that all the recruits present were extremely envious, their expressions were extremely exciting and complicated. Xia En was also pleasantly surprised by this reuse promotion, and looked at Sengoku who changed his face into a kind eyebrow and kind eyes, with some excitement. But at this time, Sengoku's arrangement is not over yet. Looking at Xia En with admiration, he said, young people have talents, and they will not be buried in Marine. You have to prove your worth. Judging from the current situation, being able to send out such an attacking move shows that Xia En's own strength is not weak. This is definitely rare in Marine, and there are almost no people in Marine who can match Xia En's talent, so Sengoku is especially optimistic. Even Grandma he laughed lightly. Aokiji, Akainu, and Kizaru looked at each other without saying a word, but their approving glances said everything. I'm a little envious of you, Xia En. The T-Dolphin joked with a smile. Promotion means an increase in status and the recognition of the strong. It was you who gave me the opportunity. It was Mr. Sengoku who entrusted me with the important task. Xia En is not a person who does not know good and bad, and responds politely to everyone. It's too early to entrust you with a heavy responsibility. Don't forget that you have just been recruited and promoted. There is still a lot to learn. You might as well improve yourself with your heart. Sengoku said something earnestly. The most important thing is to bring out such a heaven-defying understanding. So, Sengoku looked directly at Kizaru in the next second and said, go to Pelusalino later, he may be able to guide you. Actually Sengoku didn't know that Xia En didn't master Haki yet. Seeing that Xia En can master such an attack, I subconsciously think that Haki is either mastered or not difficult for Xia En. Mr. Sengoku, it would be great for Xia En to come and help me. Kizaru's expression of willingness to agree was all displayed in the creases of his face. It's good to have Xia En join his team. There are many powerful people under his command, and he can fish better himself. And looking at Xia En's capable appearance, she is definitely a right-hand man. Aokiji and Akainu both glanced at the happy Kizaru, feeling a little pity in their hearts. If possible, the two of them are also very happy to guide Xia En. Bogart was behind Sengoku, wanted to say something but couldn't say it in the end, he could only say from the bottom of his heart, this is Mr. Garp's recruit. That's gone, Mr. Garp, and you'll never regret it when you get back. But in the queue on the training ground, the recruits were even more envious, their eyes were watering. How can there be such a big difference between people? Xia En was promoted to the rank of colonel, and now he is assigned as admiral's disciple. Admiral, Master Kizaru Pelusalino, with the highest combat power, it is no exaggeration to say that he is Kizaru's disciple when he goes out, and most pirates don't even have the courage to do it. Why do celestial dragons have few people dare to provoke, including lawless pirates? Not because it can provoke Admiral. It is not too much to reach the sky in one step. For Xia En, this is indeed something to be happy about, but it is only something to be happy about. With the system in hand, it doesn't make any difference whether you have a relationship with the big shots or not. Traveling with Cheat, Xia En herself will be the most powerful person in the world. Of course, it is still very early from that point. Work hard. Chappie, Momosuke both expressed their congratulations to Xia En. From the time they discovered Xia En until now, the development of the matter is really unexpected to them. Today is truly an astonishing day. Momosuke even thought about going back to practice Professor Xia En's finger pistol. In addition, Sengoku also asked whether a finger pistol like Xia En could teach it. Of course there is no problem, but it seems more difficult. Xia En still said that she can teach. There is no need to hide these skills, you can see the skills at a glance, and the system will evolve them. There will only be more in the future, so just teach them. Maybe you can see the hockey version of the magic gun. Sengoku was very satisfied with Xia En's attitude, and stayed for a long time after seeing it. Admiral, the Marshal, and the staff are all the pillars of Marine, so naturally they can't stay here all the time, and they will leave together when things are over. Let's do this today, and come to the office tomorrow to find the old man. Kizaru patted Xia En on the shoulder kindly, and left with a smile. It wasn't until they watched the high-level executives leave that the pressure in the recruits' hearts dissipated, and they left one after another after relaxing. Bogart didn't have the energy to continue teaching today, so he was about to make a call to Mr. Garp. See if you can keep digging back. For the rest of the training ground, only the recruits and the lieutenant junior grade fitness instructor are left. Colonel Xia En, in the future you will be admiral. The new generation of Marine role models, we are your most staunch supporters. So it can be seen that Xia En calmed down everyone's flattery with great difficulty, and now she is surrounded by all kinds of shameless flattery. Everyone can see that Xia En will be by Admiral's side tomorrow after reaching the sky in one step. She is not flattering or bragging now, but she will salute when she meets in the future, and she will be strict when talking close to her. At this time, the physical instructor also came over and sternly asked the recruits to disperse. Train yourself. The majesty of the instructor rescued Xia En, but what Xia En didn't expect was that the lieutenant junior grade saluted him. From now on, you will be the colonel and our superior. But now we still regard you as a recruit. After saluting, the instructor said with a smile. Thank you for taking care of you and Mr. Bogart for many days. Naturally, Xia En greeted her with a smile. But then, Xia En couldn't help but run away. Just because the instructor exposed his true thoughts, he said bluntly, you are also an adult now, you should have the idea of starting a family. I know, young people are full of blood, don't think about Momosuke Vice Admiral, I won't give you an introduction. Too much enthusiasm. All because of the huge change in status, Xia En had to flee the training ground. I remember something else. After trotting away until the shore behind the town of Marineford, Xia En was relieved. There was no one at the moment, and gradually the excitement appeared on the surface. Next, as long as you learn skills and improve your skills to improve your strength, Summit War doesn't seem so scary. Responding to the coming of the Summit War is the first priority. Now that there is a system, Xia En can relax her whole body and mind, so she doesn't have to worry too much. Of course, even if there is no anxiety in your heart, you must continue to improve your strength. Chapter 8 Magic Gun Light Killing Cannon, you are a problem child. In order to cope with the Summit War, we have to continue to exercise our strength. The first time I release the Magic Gun Light Killing Cannon, it will increase by 10%, the second time I do damage, it will increase by 10%, and the third time I will damage a Kainu, it will increase by 10%, so now I will use it directly on the sea. From the training ground to the coast behind the island, Xia En looked at the sea and thought for a while before starting to practice on the spot. Pointing his finger on his forehead, as if he was born with it, he could easily gather the strength of his whole body to one point. Magic Light Killing Cannon. This time, the storage time was longer, and the overall shock wave was bigger. The sea surface was split to form waves rolling on both sides, and the separated waterways rushed straight into the distance with the shock wave. Xia En didn't know where her blow would hit, but it didn't matter that there were no inhabited islands nearby. Seeing the powerful force she created, Xia En nodded in satisfaction. Slightly smiled and said to himself, the power is not bad. Drip. The magic gun has no audience, and it seems that it is not willing to make progress. Close black lens bracket. There is still operation. You are a skill. Xia En's smiling expression froze. It's not making any progress. Come again. Then go the other way. Xia En prepared a blow, which was obviously more powerful this time. And it's no longer hitting against the surface of the sea, the light wave breaks through the sea and blasts obliquely towards the bottom of the sea. Drip. Mogon Guangshapao feels that the sea water is very salty, and he is unwilling to make progress. Close black lens bracket. You still picked it. There is no sea water that is not salty. Xia En complained unwillingly. Is salty the point of the question? No. Then come again. Touching his forehead again, his physical strength was exhausted rapidly, brewing for a full 30 seconds. A strong wave of light erupted at Xia En's finger, rampaging, still obliquely breaking through the sea surface, deepening continuously. But this time the magic light cannon is very powerful, and the distance is farther. It seems that it has hit something. Looking at the blasted sea surface in the distance with scarlet and a huge monster emerging from the water, Xia En clicked her tongue. Hit Sea Kings. Drip. Mogon Guangshapao feels that Sea King's blood tastes bad, feels extremely bad, and has not improved. Close black lens bracket. Hey, I don't believe it. Another shot of magic light killing cannon blasted out. Drip. The magic gun hits the rock on the bottom of the sea. Oh, what a rotten rock, it refuses to make progress. Close black lens bracket. Nima. Drip. The magic gun didn't hit anything, and I suddenly felt bad, and retreated by 1%. Close black lens bracket. Panting heavily, Xia En stared with one eye, really speechless about this skill. System. The skills are too humanized, I'm not satisfied with the hit, and I'm in a bad mood if I don't hit it. Repeatedly complaining to the system from the bottom of my heart, but no effective explanation was obtained. But Xia En didn't have the strength to continue to use the magic gun light killing cannon. Today, he used it 8 times without rest, and the next few times were even more powerful, and his physical strength was too great. There is no way, Motong Guang Xiaopao is like a problem child. Helpless, Xia En could only drag his exhausted body back to the recruit camp. After resting for a while, he packed his luggage and went to the logistics department to assign him a new residence. That's all. As night falls, the sun rises again. Xia En regained her strength and it was time to report to Kozaru Admiral's office. Marine Admiral's offices are located in the fortress. I don't know what time Kozaru arrived here, but when Xia En arrived, she was already leisurely sitting on the boss chair with coffee on the table and reading the newspaper. Kozaru Admiral. Oh, Xia En, you are here. Seeing Xia En report, Kozaru was very happy. Don't be restrained, the old man doesn't pay attention to those bluffing rules. In private, Kozaru is still easy to talk to. Well, it's actually a bit silly. Xia En nodded, sat on the sofa and glanced at the hanging plaque, ambiguous justice. Mr. Sengoku asked me to teach you. In fact, I don't know what you have mastered yet. Why don't you tell me, what do you want to learn? Kozaru asked the adjutant to prepare a cup of coffee for Xia En, and then said with a smile. Hockey. I haven't learned it yet, so armed color, knowledge color can be used. Xia En spoke without hesitation. Hockey is the power that overrides everything. You don't have to think about what you should learn. So you haven't learned hockey yet. Kozaru was slightly taken aback, because yesterday's skill release was on. He felt that Xia En must have mastered hockey in order to exert such power with his body. It turned out that Xia En hadn't touched anything yet. If you haven't learned it yet, I suggest you don't worry about it. Hockey is the power hidden in the body. As long as it is strong enough, it can be mastered quickly. Let's learn the most important skill among the 6 styles first. Kozaru thought for a while, then repeated. The most important skill among the 6 styles. Xia En knew very well what was included in the 6 moves, and was immediately confused which move was the most important. Could it be Iron Body? But Marine is confident that there are many tragedies after using Iron Body. You come with me. Kozaru didn't go out either, but opened the attic and came to the balcony. Admiral's office is big enough and comfortable. Xia En followed, then curious to see what Kozaru would do. As a result, Kozaru stepped onto the fence and floated in midair with his feet on the air. It is very easy to step on the air at will, and it is very easy to move around. It's Moonwalk. Xia En could tell what this move was at a glance. I was very surprised, it turned out that Yubo was the most important thing, and I really didn't know it. As a result, Kozaru, who was walking on the air with ease, said, there is nothing more important than walking in the air. If you are evenly matched, you can attack your opponent in all aspects. If you win, you can pursue it. If you can't win, you can escape. You can also use it to rush on the road. Going up some terrain, it is a lot of physical exertion. It is undeniable that this trick is definitely a magic trick, the most important trick. I was the first to learn this back then. I didn't use it until I got sparkling fruit. Kozaru's smiling words immediately put a black thread on Xia Enlei's head. Shame, shame. This is indeed Kozaru's character. Run away if you can't beat it, and be strong naturally. Core idea. However, according to Kozaru, the practicality is far higher than other moves, and it is related to Shave and Tempest Kick. Stepping on the air at high speed, the key is to exert force on the feet and waist. Kozaru began to teach Xia En very attentively, explaining the main points of Tsukiho while demonstrating. Xia En was indeed listening and watching intently. As expected, however, the system's prompts began to sound from the time the monthly steps were displayed. Drip, 6 forms. Moon step skill reenacted successfully. Close black lens bracket. This skill has limited power and is undergoing evolution. Hey, finger pistol's evolution is outrageous, I don't know what kind of evolution it will become. Xia En has already begun to look forward to it in her heart. Chapter 9 Moonwalk Evolution, Dancing Kongshu. Advertise here. The principles and techniques are not complicated, the most important thing is to master the body and rhythm. Well, that's about it. You should feel it first and practice it. Kozaru was very satisfied with Xia En's look of being happy about studying. In fact, Xia En is happy because skills are evolving. After Kozaru finished speaking, he sat back in his seat, turned his head slightly and could see Xia En on the big balcony. It is spacious enough here and there is a large platform under the top floor without a ceiling. Xia En can practice here even if he wants to. Looking at it with a smile, Kizaru secretly thought that the reason why he taught Tsukibo was because Tsukibo was the most difficult. Flying into the air is the greatest difficulty of the human body. During the same period, it took half a year to fully master Yubu, but I did it in 3 months. At that time, I was called a genius. I remember that Zephyr was strict at that time and couldn't help but praise him behind his back. You must know that Kizaru was in the same period as Aokiji and Akainu. Since then, he and Akainu have been called monster-like existences. As a result, the idea just came out at this time. Kizaru's eyeballs nearly popped out. Xia En actually stepped on the moon step and leapt over the guardrail. The crackling sound of stepping on the air, and the bouncing up of the body all told Kizaru that Xia En has thoroughly grasped the key points of the technique. What the hell? This is mastered. Kizaru's expression and body froze immediately, and he was shocked. I think it took me nearly a month just to step on the air. The high-speed movement of the feet requires the formation of reflexes under long-term muscle memory in order to fully control them. That guy Akainu mastered it later than himself, but at this time Xia En only saw him perform it, and then he was able to perfectly perform the moon step technique. How could this not shock Kizaru? Moon step is more than twice as difficult as shaving and tempest kick, because it needs to constantly step on the air to do it. It took me 3 months to do this. Kuzan, Sakazuki is nearly half a year. 5 minutes. Not at all. Even in the history of Marine, there is no such high talent. Garp, Sengoku. There is no room for even more senior qualifications. Tsukiho is a small matter, but Kizaru has already seen many differences in it. What kind of monster? Is this young man a monster among monsters? No wonder you can comprehend more powerful attack moves from finger pistol, no wonder Sengoku is promoted without hesitation. At this moment, Kizaru deeply understands how terrifying Xia En's talent is from Yubo's teaching. You can even master the moon step easily. If it's not easy, then can other moves last longer? For a moment, Kizaru's heart was very exciting, he didn't know how to react, and he froze in place. But at this moment, feeling the feeling that the body can really rise into the air, Xia En's face is full of joy, and the feeling is very good. Study, copy it and you're done. Even in the process of evolution, Yubo has already been reproduced, as if he was born with it, and it is very easy to use. I just want to step on the moonwalk to feel it further. At this time, a reminder came from Xia En's mind. 6 styles. Moon step successfully evolved into Wukong. Close black lens bracket. Congratulations to the evolution of host skills and gaining comprehensive physique growth. Close black lens bracket. Well, a reminder like the sounds of nature. But for a while, Yubo's proficiency was eliminated. As soon as Xia En saw the prompt, his body suddenly lost his balance. He is now outside the balcony, falling straight down. Seeing Xia En suddenly falling down and screaming, Kizaru immediately moved to the edge of the guardrail. At the same time, I felt a lot of balance in my heart, looking at Xia En who fell below and said. It's normal to not be able to keep your balance when you just learn it. I fell for a long time back then. Xia En's body cannot die from this height, and Kizaru still has the heart to comfort him. But what I didn't expect was that the words were not finished yet. The falling Xia En stabilized her figure and flew into the air. Looking at Xia En who came back in front of him, Kizaru's words were stopped immediately, his eyes were full of shock, and he found that Xia En's feet didn't step on the air at all, and flew up directly. Xia En, on the other hand, was full of excitement from the moment she fell to her return, and was even flying in various poses. That's right, it's just flying, you can fly as you like, there is no shadow of Tsukiho at all. What the hell is this? How did he do it? Kizaru's eyes widened, the shock on his expression undisguised. What the hell happened? Wasn't it Gakuzuki Ho? How Xia En became a person who can fly? Xia En, what ability do you have? For a moment, Kizaru even thought that Xia En might have the power of devil fruit. Otherwise, how could it fly up when it was about to fall to the platform below? I just realized it from Yubo, and I fell because of this feeling. Xia En's answer to Kizaru's shocking doubts was that it was because of a sudden realization of a new skill. Kizaru was still staring, as if he was even more shocked. I feel like a dog in my heart. Teach you how to walk on the moon, and you will realize a new feeling from it and become a golden lion. Isn't this flying posture the same as golden lion's lion fruit? Quickly fly around and try. Kizaru doesn't believe in evil, even if he basically believed that Xia En was real, he understood it, but he always believed that challenging the sky is very difficult. He's still going to fall. Okay, I just feel it. Xia En grinned, and really started to dive in a casual gesture. Flying close to the building, a beautiful arc turned back to the sky, and the proficient air dancing technique did not seem like a newly evolved skill at all. And this flying feeling is very wonderful, which makes Xia En very excited. Hey, stand guard. The leader is coming, be careful not to fish. Bogart instructor, hard work. As soon as Xia En walked Luffy, he was not very tall, causing the marine soldiers and recruits to exclaim along the way, and at the same time greeted them. The flying person is Xia En. It's really him. Oh my god, he can fly. Could it be that he has become a person with abilities? The other marines are alright, but the recruits and the instructor are dumbfounded. And Kizaru followed all the way, turned into a flash, and sometimes stopped on the roof, trying to catch Xia En who fell down at any time. But Xia En just won't drop, and it seems that the flying is getting more and more handy, very happy and happy. What kind of reincarnated evildoer is this guy, monster? There is no jealousy, no envy, only a deep shock to Xia En. I thought it would be amazing enough to master the moon step, but what Kizaru didn't expect was that this is the strength of Xia En. This heaven-defying sensibility. Chapter 10. This is what Sukiho can do. Advertise here. Dancing Kongshu, the magic flying skill in the world of Dragon Ball, is a skill that almost every fighter naturally masters. But it is a rare skill in pirate world. Flying like lion fruit is amazing. After being fully familiar with it, it seems that this ability is innate, and Kizaru, who is waiting for Xia En's fall, is destined to be disappointed. This guy's talent is far worse than Roger, the monsters among those monsters in rocks. And at this time, Xia En flew at a low altitude all the way, occasionally causing the marine officers and soldiers to be surprised, stopping and yelling at the sky. Around the huge fortress, just arrived at the town side. Akainu Sakazuki heard the exclamation from his mansion, and looked from the window frowning. A black shadow quickly flew through the air. This is Xia En. Akainu's eyesight is very good, and he immediately found out who the person in the air was, and he was very surprised when he reacted. And Kizaru turned into a flash and followed closely behind, as if he was practicing. No, how could Xia En fly in the air? Then without saying a word, the legs turned into magma, and flew out like a rocket booster, heading straight for Xia En and Kizaru. Xia En was still flying in front. Akainu didn't interrupt immediately, but caught up with Kizaru behind and asked, Pelusalino. What's going on? As you can see, this guy is too genius, he comprehended the move of flying in the air from the moon step. Kizaru turned into a human form from the light and was moving inertially, and at the same time turned around and said to Sakazuki with a wry smile. This flight is sure to disturb many people, but I can't do anything about him being so wicked, I can't let him stop now. You, Sukiho. Is this Sukiho? What a joke. Akainu's face visibly froze, shocked by these words. Look at how relaxed and comfortable Xia En is flying in front, with an excited look on his face. To this extent, it is comparable to the flight of Golden Lion and Kaido. Sukiho still contains such a powerful flight theory. For a moment, Akainu doubted whether his comprehension was too low. Turning the corner to the other side of the fortress, Xia En can fully feel the comfort of running Wukong at this time, and the flying becomes more and more enjoyable. As for Kizaru behind and Akainu who followed, they also noticed it, but they didn't care. At this time, this side of the fort is Aokiji's office. Unlike others, Aokiji wears a blindfold, and is indifferent to the exclamation in the distance, so he sleeps peacefully. Aokiji Kuzan opened his blindfold to take a look until the movement was getting closer and he sensed 3 breaths approaching from the air. Xia En. Aokiji was sleepy and thought he had misread, so he took off the blindfold completely. Hi, Aokiji Admiral. Xia En took the initiative to say hello to this sunny Aokiji. Hi. Aokiji didn't know if he hadn't woken up, so he responded blankly, and then watched Xia En fly away before reacting. This guy flies out of thin air. Suddenly stood up in surprise. At this time, Kizaru's light gathered around Aokiji, and Akainu also flew over. Did he eat devil fruit? What kind of ability can he fly out of thin air like a guy like Golden Lion or Kaido? Aokiji asked the two of them in surprise. What devil fruit? The flying moves that Xia En comprehended during Chongyubu. Kizaru scratched his head, he didn't know whether to be happy or shocked. Sukiho. Then, Aokiji pointed at Xia En, who was flying freely, in a daze, and his whole body froze. Xia En flew around the town of Marineford and the fortress, feeling the feeling of dancing air. It seems to have attracted a lot of attention. As the focus of everyone's attention, Xia En certainly knew all kinds of surprised eyes from below. But he still didn't restrain himself, he flew recklessly and greeted warmly. Judging from the example of Mo Tong Guangsha Cannon, attracting attention is very helpful for humanized skills. For example, the progress that was excited because of the release before. It's just that there is no hint of progress yet. But along the way, Xia En has gotten most of Naval Headquarters' attention. In addition to the 3 admirals Akainu, Aokiji, and Kizaru who were keeping up with them, soon, in Momoshiki in the fortress, the T-dolphins also ran out because of the movement. Seeing Xia En flying in the sky, he was so startled that he could stuff an egg into his mouth. Am I blind? That's Xia En, how could he fly? The T-dolphin clearly remembered discovering Xia En, who was amazingly savvy yesterday, on the training ground below. At that time, he was still teaching finger pistol, how could he fly into the sky today? Momoshiki didn't respond, but looked up at the excited Xia En in surprise. And more vice admirals are attracted. Hey, that's amazing, he's actually flying. Does devil fruit have the ability? What ability does it have to fly like this? Like a lion fruit. Huo Shaoshan, Flying Squirrel, Doberman and others were all stunned. It can be seen from this that it is actually a very rare thing to be able to fly freely in One Piece world, let alone Xia En's wanton flight. At this time, at the top office area of the Naval Headquarters Fortress, Sengoku and Granny Crane also came out to see this scene, and their eyes changed in surprise. Poor Salino. What's going on? Sengoku thought of some reason in his mind, and immediately questioned Kizaru loudly, who kept landing on the roof from time to time. Headache, Mr. Sengoku. Kizaru soon appeared in front of Sengoku, and Aokiji and Akainu also came quickly. What did you do to him? Granny, he asked with a puzzled look on her face. She already suspected some kind of ability. After all, Xia En flying freely in the sky without moving her legs and hands looks really amazing. Today he came to report, and I taught Yubo, who knew that this guy could actually comprehend flying skills. Kizaru couldn't figure it out himself, but the facts were right in front of him. Can Tsukiho do this? Sengoku and Granny he looked at each other in astonishment. Kizaru can't lie, can he? But looking at Xia En flying over, both of them couldn't believe it. Aokiji and Akainu didn't quite believe it at first, they both looked at Kizaru and frowned. It's really just normal moonwalk techniques, I don't do anything else at all. Kizaru spread his hands innocently, his eyes under the sunglasses were incomprehensible. Everyone didn't know what to say at this time. Yubu. Comprehend such a skill from ordinary moonwalk skills. This is too incredible, nothing like this has ever happened since ancient times. If that's the case, Xia En's comprehension has already surpassed the category of a genius, and it is not an exaggeration to say that she is a monster. Chapter 11 Xia En is really not capable. Advertise here. What kind of eyes are you looking at? Seeing the expressions on everyone's faces, Kizaru suddenly felt bad. He turned his head and called Xia En to come down quickly. Marshal Sengoku, Staff Crane. Xia En was originally flying towards this direction, but soon fell steadily back to the ground, and greeted with a smile. It's really an extraordinary feeling to fly this Wukong technique. Ding, Dance Kongshu debuted for the first time, and received great attention in the free flight, full of vanity, and skill improvement of 10%. Close black lens bracket. Finally come. This is indeed the case with the skills of humanization. Xia En smiled even more happily. I flew unscrupulously, not for this. As for Xia En, it was not easy for everyone to lift the weight lightly and land steadily. Sengoku was even more amazed in his heart. If this skill was comprehended from Yubo, it would be too monstrous. So he asked directly, Xia En, is this the flying skill you learned from Yubu? As such that, Xia En naturally admitted it generously, with a sincere expression. Then can you explain how you did it? Seeing Xia En's expression, Sengoku and the others couldn't help but continue to ask. Originally, this kind of thing, just like finger pistol, understanding is personal, so it is not good to ask directly. But it was really because of some shock. Sengoku, Grandma Crane, Admiral and other high-level executives couldn't help being curious. It was when I was using Moon Step that the power of floating in the air gave me comprehension. Xia En has nothing to hide, and truthfully tells the essentials of Wukong. There is no need to hide it. It can also be seen from the magic gun that the skills launched with chi or moves from another dimension, which cannot be used by the hockey system. Sengoku, Grandma Crane, Aokiji, Kizaru, and Akainu listened to the mystery, and unconsciously began to try following Xia En's narration. But they can't feel the so-called feeling of floating in the air, and the energy contained in it, let alone be able to do it. But those present are all masters, and even Granny he knows that the kind of energy that Xia En mentioned actually exists, an upward force. But no matter how they try, they just can't float, not even a little bit. No, it should be like this. Kizaru Pelusalino is even more nagging, and wants to use the fruit ability to do it. But after trying, they didn't work at all. Even after the vice admirals arrived, they heard that Xia En had comprehended the flying skills while rushing to the moon. They were shocked and tried it. Momosuke and T-Dolphin never learned Xia En's finger pistol, but now they heard that Moon Step can fly freely, so they tried more seriously. Unfortunately, it still didn't work. If it weren't for Xia En's serious and sincere attitude, everyone would be suspicious. Certainly, Xia En also took the trouble to supplement and explain. But in the end, whether it was Admiral or Vice Admiral, they all shook their heads. We know it works, but it just doesn't work. The flying squirrel said with a sigh. Xia En laughed secretly in her heart. That's of course, you know what's the use, and you're out of breath. If I didn't have a system, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to fly if I knew how to practice Wukong. Even Sengoku, who had been trying, finally gave up, knowing he couldn't do it. Maybe our talents are not enough. Kizaru shook his head and sighed. For the first time, I felt so frustrated with my talent. But at this time, Granny he saw these people shaking their heads, and suddenly said, Xia En, help me get a pistol from the office, it's on the left-hand side of the desk, a black pistol. Okay. Although Xia En wondered why Granny he suddenly wanted to fetch things by herself, she nodded in agreement. Following the thought, the feet floated up with the Wukong technique activated. Immediately, he quickly flew over the guardrail and headed towards the fortress below. Granny he's office is just on the next floor. What a speed. Doberman, Flying Squirrel and other vice admirals couldn't help but look surprised. Only now did I realize that Xia En's flying speed was so fast. Just now I only noticed that Xia En can fly, but I didn't realize that Xia En's speed is so powerful. This is the colonel who was promoted by Mr. Sengoku yesterday, what a monster. During this gap, the vice admirals who didn't know Xia En were all amazed. Such a fast speed is equivalent to the effect of monthly walking and shaving. No, it's even more terrifying, because Xia En doesn't need to use force to land the whole time. Going to Grandma He's office to get a gun, Xia En went in directly through the window. There was no one inside, so I found this heavy pistol half a circle larger than the regular one according to what Granny he said, and returned quickly. Ding, Wukong has broken through his own limit speed, and has been praised by others. The interest is very pleasant, and he has improved by 10%. Close black lens bracket. Ho, I went faster, I didn't expect to attract the praise of those above, and I improved by 10%. Xia En smiled slightly, and now she looked much calmer. When they returned to the top floor, everyone's eyes became more fiery as expected. Granny He's gaze brightened even more, and a slight smile appeared on her calm face. Thanks. Granny He took the pistol Xia En handed over, looked at him, and couldn't help but continue to admire. This is the first time in my life that I have encountered such an amazing thing. Xia En, you are really good. This sentence is really said with a smile. It seems that the rational Granny He is more optimistic about Xia En. We've been trying for so long, so many people have no reaction at all. It's not that I don't believe you, Xia En, honestly, did you eat devil fruit? Without your knowledge. Akainu stared slightly, and said bluntly. He didn't think it was impossible, such as the kind that Xia En ate without knowing it, and he didn't know it. After saying this, everyone present couldn't help but nodded. Yes, Xia En, is there such a possibility? Did you eat any strange fruit before, or yesterday or today? If it's a special skill, no matter how difficult it is, there will always be one of us who will respond, but it doesn't seem to be the case. What Sakazuki Admiral said is not unreasonable. Huo Shaoshan, and the flying squirrels also agreed, thinking that it was very possible. After all, it feels more or less like a fantasy, and people will always subconsciously find some acceptable cognition to explain these unbelievable things. But at this time, Grandma He spread her palms, showed the black pistol and said, don't guess you guys, this gun is specially made by Seastone. Granny Crane is very clear about the weight of the gun in her hand. The 100% pure Seastone was made by the Ministry of Science. Not to mention ordinary ability users, Akainu and the others are powerless to hold it up. Therefore, it is impossible for Xia En to be demon fruit power at all, otherwise, if it is ability, he would not be able to fly just now. Chapter 12 The fastest promotion in history, you are now Vice Admiral. Xia En didn't even think that asking her to get the gun turned out to be Granny He's temptation. Seastone's pistol, it turned out to be like this. Only then did everyone suddenly realize that they all looked at Xia En. There is a kind of monster among monsters. It is understandable that finger pistol can be practiced like that, because many people who have mastered 6 styles can also make some amazing moves. But in Yubu, he realized the flying skills comparable to abilities. This is really outrageous. But that is the truth. Not to mention doubting that Xia En is a spy, undercover, who can put Yubu, a genius who has trained into flying skills, into the enemy's base camp for adventure. Coupled with the clean background investigation, Xia En's attitude of being suspected by everyone has completely disappeared with the display of talent. Therefore, the eyes of everyone present couldn't help but become more and more fiery, as if they were looking at deluded treasures. Even Xia En himself didn't expect Grandma He to say such a thing, but just smiled naively in front of everyone's burning eyes. How could he not understand that there must be someone in Marine who will continue to be wary, like Sengoku, and cranes are rational, calm and inhuman beings. With such a trial now, I will save a lot of trouble in the future. It's just that he found that everyone's eyes were too hot. See what big treasures like. As everyone knows, at this moment, under the fortress, a group of Marine fighters stared at the high-level people who were learning moves from Xia En, dumbfounded. Am I not mistaken? Marshal Sengoku, the admirals and the vice admirals are learning moves from him. Is it because I didn't wake up or everyone didn't wake up? That's crazy. Who is he? Xia En, yesterday was a recruit, a genius who was exceptionally promoted by Marshal Sengoku. Yes, he has been flying in the air just now. The Marine officers and soldiers looked up at the stunned and shocked appearance of the high-ranking officers in front of Xia En, and felt that their 3 views had been washed away. The marshal above, Admiral, who is not a legend in everyone's mind, is an object of worship, and now he is asking a young man for advice, and he is trying to do something with both hands and feet. Such a scene simply broke their cognition. But it's a pity that they are on the fortress, and they can only see what they can't hear. Above, Granny Crane explained the seastone weapon in her hand to everyone, and after a while she suddenly said, Xia En, since you can comprehend such a powerful move, can you use the 2 skills at the same time? For example, use it while flying finger pistol. Finally someone mentioned it. Grandma He's words made Xia En's eyes light up. From their point of view, it may not be so easy to combine the flying of dancing air with the ray of finger pistol, but for Xia En, it is as simple as breathing. It's just right to bring it up now, he has long needed an audience to watch. On the surface, he still looks like he just woke up, saying I will try. In the next second, Xia En floated into the air and flew to the front of the fortress. Sengoku, 3 admirals, Grandma Crane, T-Pig, Momosugi, Huo Shaoshan and other vice admirals all looked forward to it. Even the Marines watching below are very curious about what this is going to do. Xia En is also trying for the first time. But he knew that he could easily use two skills at the same time. Pointing his finger on his forehead, the energy gathered, pointing at the distance of the sea at will, and the rays of the magic gun light-killing cannon suddenly blasted out. It looks like a straight line going straight to the distant sea. Under the extreme speed, it gives other people watching the feeling of bombing the sea in the blink of an eye. The violent explosion of the rays that sank into the sea caused hundreds of meters of spray, shining brightly in the sun. Open black lens bracket ding. I am very happy that the magic gun light cannon exploded a huge wave, and it has improved by 10%. Close black lens bracket. Yesterday, I didn't make any progress all afternoon. I'm not satisfied with the sea. Now I'm happy again. You just like to have an audience watching. Xia En complained in her heart speechlessly, and opened the panel to have a look. Open black lens bracket extreme training system close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket host. Xia En close black lens bracket. Comprehensive value. 1200. Skill. Magic penetration light cannon 39%. Attack power. Quasi-admiral. Close black lens bracket. Skill. 20% of dancing Kongshu. Dexterity. Vice admiral level. Close black lens bracket. Good. Evolved one more skill, and his force increased again. You must know that the system only appeared yesterday. It won't take long for me to stand on the real pinnacle of this world. Xia En couldn't help but feel excited. But at this moment, someone was more excited than he showed. Seeing the rays of the quasi-admiral level magic light-killing cannon explode in the fingers of Xia En in flight, bombarding 100-meter waves. Sengoku was extraordinarily excited to see the unrivaled power, and couldn't help being excited in his heart. Aerial firepower has always been Marine's shortcoming. Except for admirals like Kizaru and Akainu, almost no one else can do sky combat. Don't talk about moon steps stepping into the air, Xia En is the one who really flies and fights. This is what Marine lacks the most. And he also has the powerful firepower skill of finger pistol, which is simply a magic skill, enough to fill up Marine's high-end combat power in the air. That's right, it is high-end combat power. Flying, extremely fast, stronger than the power of the finger pistol, Xia En alone is comparable to a 10,000-man Marine. Besides Sengoku, Grandma Suru obviously considered this, and the two looked at each other. Then to the amazed Aokiji, Akainu, Kizaru and many vice admirals, given the current situation, I have something to announce. Xia En, you have shown enough, come here. Granny Crane kindly greeted Xia En not to float outside. Xia En, your aptitude is very evil, and your ability is exactly what our Marine needs. Therefore, the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. I decided to promote you to Vice Admiral again. From now on, Mariajoy's appointment letter I will personally go get it. Sengoku made a mental presupposition and decision, and immediately announced without hesitation. As a result, Xia En was so surprised that before he could speak, the Vice Admirals exclaimed. Momosugi Gion, Tea Dolphin Cake, both of them were in a daze. What's the situation? I was a subordinate yesterday, but today I am a colleague at the same level. This promotion speed is the first in history. I was a colonel just now, and I was promoted to Vice Admiral immediately. But such a genius, Marshal Sengoku will definitely not let it go, and it's the same for me. Geniuses with such savvy join Marine and become the mainstay, and they will definitely become stronger and stronger in the future. After exclaiming, Flying Squirrel, Doberman and others also felt that they had lost their composure, but they still couldn't help but marvel in their hearts. In Marine, general level and school level are completely different concepts. Vice Admiral representatives really have the right to speak and have access to a lot of secrets, as well as the degree of freedom and authority. Chapter 13 Trigger System Task. Intercept Red Hair's letter. Everyone agrees with Marshal Sengoku's approach. After all, Xia En's talent is fully worthy of the promotion speed of this position, and everyone has no objection. In a blink of an eye, you are on the same level as us. Congratulations, Xia En. Maybe go to the cafeteria and treat us to a big meal. Chifu, Momosugi and others all congratulated Xia En on her promotion at the moment, laughing and joking. Congratulations are something. It may be late, Xia En, now I have a temporary task for you. Unexpectedly, Marshal Sengoku thought of something and said. Mission. No problem. Xia En restrained her smile and waited seriously for Sengoku to tell her about the task. Actually, we received information last night that Redhead, one of the pirate emperors, sent a team to deliver a letter to Whitebeard. The leader he sent was Rockstar, a pirate with nearly 100 million people. I hope you can stop it. He delivered the letter, destroyed his pirate ship to intercept the letter. Sengoku stated the task clearly in 2 or 3 sentences. Hearing this, Xia En also remembered it. There is a rebellion on the Whitebeard pirate's ship, and Shanks wants to stop it, thinking that Blackbeard is dangerous. Others were surprised when they heard the words, this task is not easy. Especially Kizaru, Momosugi, Tea Dolphin and others did not expect that Mr. Sengoku would send this task to Xia En. Mr. Sengoku, although Xia En was promoted to Vice Admiral, he is still a rookie to complete the task related to the 4 emperors, isn't it a bit dangerous? Kizaru felt that this task was too difficult for Xia En. That is the new world, and it is also the territory of the 4 emperors. Although Xia En can fly, if he really meets the four emperors, it may be difficult to escape. Yeah, Marshal Sengoku, let's not talk about Xia En's strength for now. Rockstar is a pirate with nearly 100 million people, especially the guys from New World who are scheming, are people from Red Hair Pirates. The danger is too high for Xia En. Momosuke didn't call out the last three irrationalities. Everyone felt that Xia En needed to grow up. Sengoku just watched them and didn't refute the danger of the mission, and after they finished speaking, he slowly opened his mouth and said, "Four emperors contact, a redhead and whitebeard. The matter is very important, even Admiral will take a long time, I'm afraid I won't be able to catch up. Furthermore, what was the purpose of the redhead's contact with Whitebeard to influence this next step?" After finishing speaking, his eyes were on Xia En. Knowing that this task is difficult, but only Xia En who has mastered the flying skills can do it. As for whether you are sure, it depends on Xia En's attitude. Sengoku was obviously eager to know, and even let Xia En, who had been on the job for less than an hour, go out. Everyone also set their eyes on Xia En, some looked forward to it, some frowned slightly, hoping that Xia En would not be stupid to take it. As a rookie who didn't get the appointment letter from Vice Admiral, even if he refused, there would be no problem. I will go to this task. Unexpectedly, Xia En agreed immediately at this time. In the eyes of everyone, he didn't even show much hesitation, and he agreed very simply. Going to New World, so the level of danger of the mission. Sengoku reminded. Facing his straightforwardness, he didn't want Xia En to take risks. No problem, Marshal Sengoku, flying doesn't cost me much, and I don't even need a warship. Xia En smiled slightly and said. In fact, I really didn't want to go. What a joke, I haven't learned enough skills yet, so I have to fly to New World. But the system released the task when Sengoku informed. Ding, the event has been obtained, and the mission is now released. Complete the Naval Headquarters dispatch order, and after completion, all abilities and physical fitness will be greatly improved. Close black lens bracket. Significant progress. There is no reason to refuse. Xia En is confident that her Wukong technique can save her when the situation is not good, so she agreed without hesitation. Since they all readily agreed, Momosuke, Kizaru and the others couldn't say anything more, and if they tried to persuade them, they would be confronting Marshal Sengoku. Turning their heads, everyone looked at Xia En with relief. This guy is very courageous and aggressive, worthy of the rank of Vice Admiral. If he can successfully complete the task, he can completely gain a foothold in Marine. You boy, that's fine. But if you're on a mission alone, remember not to be tough, run away if the situation is not good, and don't stay too long after the mission is completed. Saving your life is the most important thing. Kizaru Pelusolino's sincere advice made everyone present smile. It can be seen that Kizaru really values Xia En. Porosolino was right. Grandma he also gave instructions. It's rare that Naval Headquarters has an evil genius, and she doesn't want to die because of the task. It is the eagle that always soars in the sky. Sengoku also gave a rare smile, then turned and walked towards the office. Take out a chart from it. This is based on information. There is red hair on it. The approximate location of the two major pirate groups, Whitebeard, is marked on the place where Rockstar passed by. You just need to find this person to get the letter. Xia En took the chart, glanced at it, and then thought about whether he needed to bring anything else. It seems not. Without further ado, just get ready to go right away. Then I'll go first. As soon as Xia En put the chart in his pocket, Xia En wanted to fly away immediately. At this moment, the flying squirrel flicked a Vice Admiral Justice coat. How can Marine Vice Admiral have no justice? Thanks. Xia En is draped behind her, her feet off the ground. With a whiff, he flew towards the sky, then looked in the direction, and quickly disappeared from everyone's eyes. Young people are full of energy. Aokiji looked at Xia En's back and praised. Xia En is a rare talent, but she cannot grow in a greenhouse, the world is cruel. Akainu agreed with the mission sent by Sengoku and said so. Xia En, can he complete the task smoothly this time? It's hard to say. After all, it's New World, not the paradise in the first half. The pirates in New World are stronger than those in Four Seas. The Vice Admirals talked a lot, and most of them were not very optimistic about Xia En's first time to complete the task alone. I thought that Marshal Sengoku might not have thought about successfully completing the task. More like a grind for Xia En. Guys, do you want to compare yourself to Sengoku when it comes to people? Granny he glanced at the Vice Admirals behind, and spoke calmly. That's not it, Granny he. I just feel that Xia En is still young and may not handle it well. The Vice Admirals sneered and restrained their unfavorable remarks. Sengoku didn't say anything, turned and went back to the office, Granny Suru followed. But when he turned around, he left a sentence. Boys, maybe Xia En will give us a big surprise. Chapter 14 Blackbeard. Damn. How can Marine fly? Advertise here. After a few days. New World. With a red afro on his head, Rockstar stood at the bow of the ship with a serious face and looked into the distance. After sailing all the way, I finally arrived at the territory of the Whitebeard pirates, and I was thinking that as a newcomer to the Red Hair pirates, I would successfully complete the task assigned by the boss. Whitebeard's ship should be not far ahead. Rockstar was muttering. Suddenly, I found a small boat coming to the sea in front of me. Sitting on the boat was a fat man in a white shirt with his belly open. Rockstar observed through the binoculars, and didn't know the person opposite, so he wanted to ask him for directions. So when they staggered, they shouted to the fat man, "Hey, the guy over there, do you know where the Whitebeard pirates are?" Teach is happily riding on the boat. Thief, ha ha ha. After so many years, it's finally time to start. I really didn't expect that I got the dark fruit ability and escaped from Whitebeard's ship. The sky is wide and the birds are flying. As a result, at this time, they found a pirate ship coming from the opposite side, and the pirate flag on the mast was particularly eye-catching. It's just that Rockstar hasn't flown the redhead flag yet. Just thinking about getting some food or something, who would have thought that a strange red-haired afro would ask for directions arrogantly? Or the Whitebeard pirates. Who are you? Naturally, Teach was not afraid of pirates who appeared, and asked with squinted eyes. I'm Rockstar, a big pirate with a reward of 94 million. Nearly 100 million big pirates. Teach suddenly became hostile, thinking that this guy should be enough to get the attention of the world government, right? Also a member of the Red Hair Pirates, do you know where the Whitebeard pirates are? Rockstar glared at Teach impatiently, and said condescendingly while standing by the fence. Red Hair Pirates. Teach was taken aback for a moment, but he didn't expect that it was Shank's person. Immediately, the malice that wanted to take down the opponent dispelled, and the black mist behind him also dissipated. It is not appropriate to clash with the Red Hair Pirates now. Once they know their whereabouts, that guy will definitely chase after him desperately, not to mention the furious Whitebeard pirates behind him. Teach with only one person is not yet sure to kill a boat of people quietly. I know, you can see their boat if you drive in that direction. Then, Teach's face became calm, listlessly pointing to the direction behind him. Hey, go in that direction. After knowing the direction, Rockstar ignored Teach even more, turned around and directed to the few minions behind him. Snort. Teach was upset. How dare a red-haired boy be so arrogant to him? Forget it this time. Next time let this kid always remember how terrible he is. Continue to bring the boat under its butt back up to speed, staggering past the Rockstar ship. However, there is not much time for both sides to miss. Teach heard someone on Rockstar's ship exclaiming. Brother, something is coming from the sky. Hey, such a big bird. Rockstar looked up, and had never seen such a big black shadow. At the same time, Teach, who heard the movement, looked back and saw that the black shadow in the sky was not a bird, but a human shape. The one who can fly. Teach suddenly felt bad, thinking it was aimed at him. But after thinking about it, no, if it was Marco, there should be flames. It's a human. At this time, Rockstar and his subordinates also discovered that there are people in the sky. What surprised them even more was that the time from black shadow to human silhouette was very short, within a few seconds. What was even more frightening was that a few seconds later, they saw a man in a coat of justice standing in the air. Marine. Teach and Rockstar were taken aback. The man standing in the void looked very young, looking down sharply between his brows and eyes. Menacing awe. But at the same time, I was also very puzzled, including Teach, who frowned and wondered when Marine would have a vice admiral flying out of nowhere like this. That's right, the military rank on the shoulder will indicate Xia En's position. So the people on the Rockstar boat were still nervous, and Marine Vice Admiral suddenly appeared, and they all raised their weapons. Vice Admiral's strength is generally not weak, and Rockstar is very serious and cautious. It's just that the person in front of me doesn't have any impression, and there is no such person in Marine's Vice Admiral. As everyone knows, Xia En came to him as soon as he became Vice Admiral. Teach thought he had nothing to do, but he seemed to be coming for the Red Hair Pirates, so he didn't speed up to leave, but slowed down to watch the show. After all, he doesn't have any rewards now. As soon as Luffy walked over, Xia En didn't consume too much Wukong at all, but he still stopped at each branch for a while before continuing on his way. Fortunately, I finally found it. Xia En recognized the Rockstar who was waiting for the battle at a glance. The iconic hair is too eye-catching. On a small canoe not far away, he also recognized Blackbeard, Marshal D. Teach. The guy known as the ultimate enemy of Luffy's pirate road is very powerful, and he is very good at pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger. So I ignored Teach, but after taking a look, I didn't even bother to talk to these small characters, and went straight to Rockstar. Letters are the key to the mission. Come straight to me. Rockstar knew it was Marine to deal with him. Seeing him swooping down from the sky now, he decisively drew his sword and slashed into the air. Marine. Go to hell. This Vice Admiral himself doesn't know, and this young appearance, presumably, is not very strong. If you kill it, you can still increase the bounty. As expected of nearly hundreds of millions of New World pirates, they can slash sword energy. It was Xia En's first time facing fierce pirates, but it may be due to personal reasons, but she was calmer. In the face of Rockstar's sword spirit, he can't avoid it. Stretch out your finger directly and say, finger pistol. The magic penetration cannon that has been used proficiently can be fired directly without touching the forehead. Although it is not as powerful as the power reserve, it is also very amazing. Rockstar's saber energy couldn't hold on for even a second, and was directly shattered and dissipated by the flashing magic light cannon. Looking at the unabated, direct shock wave, Rockstar was shocked by this scene. This is Marine's finger pistol. Why is it completely different from the finger pistol I have dealt with before? Guangbo's sharp and indomitable momentum made Rockstar's heart tremble. But right now he didn't have time to think about it. The magic penetrating light kills the cannon very fast, forcing Rockstar to subconsciously set up the blade covering Hockey to block it. At the moment of contact, the huge impact directly crushed the covered Hockey, bending the blade and almost shattering it. Rockstar spurted out a mouthful of blood, and crashed into the deck below. Immediately, the power of the magic light cannon really exploded. Rockstar's ship burst into flames, and exploded into pieces. Chapter 15 Killing Rockstar in Seconds, Blackbeard is Malicious. It was clearly a wave of light emanating from the fingertips. It doesn't look powerful at all. Finger pistol. That Marine is calling finger pistol. This is finger pistol, are you sure it's not wrong? The guys on the boat are going to be unlucky. Teach, who witnessed the process, was a little horrified, and the ship not far away from him exploded directly. He smacked his tongue secretly, looking dazed. Before the hull exploded, he could see clearly that the blade of the guy named Rockstar was about to shatter, and after falling on the deck, the whole ship exploded, indicating that the real power was at the end. F***K, when will this kind of guy appear in Marine, who can fly again? Is it a person with fruit ability? Thinking of this, Teach's expression suddenly changed, thinking it was very possible. Besides being capable, how could a Marine 6 styles finger pistol exert such a powerful explosive force? And above sea level, Xia En was still floating in the air, looking indifferently at the wooden hulls scattered on the sea. Ding, Mo Gongguangshipao defeated the famous pirate, feeling refreshed and improved by 10%. Close black lens bracket. Already accustomed to the performance of the skill, humanization. Xia En felt good in her heart, but there was no expression on her face. It's no surprise that Rockstar was defeated with one blow. You must know that when you first realized it, you can almost make the T-Dolphin unstoppable. After the evolution is strengthened, even a Kainu can be injured. Rockstar. That's all for a little pirate, even if he doesn't reserve power, he can't resist it. Of course, it was also to prevent him from being directly smashed into scum. Quietly watching the churning sea, Xia En looked for Rockstar. After a while, all the guys who fell into the water surfaced one after another, and among them was Rockstar who passed out for a short time. Fly directly over and lift him up who was in a coma. Xia En groped and found a letter from him. It's okay, it's just getting wet and not ruined. Be careful with wet letters and you can still see the contents. Getting it is equal to the completion of the task. Throwing the Rockstar back into the sea to fend for itself, Xia En put the letter away and breathed a sigh of relief. The first task of the system can be completed in no time. I didn't even look at Blackbeard, Xia En wanted to leave at this point, and didn't bother to care about it. As a result, at this time, the guy Teach actually took the initiative to shout, Marine. Wait, can you come over for a chat? Having seen Xia En finger pistol easily beat Rockstar, he was very polite in his tone. Why is this guy looking for me? Xia En looked back at Blackbeard, only to see Teach making a silly smile. It seems that there is really something to talk to yourself. Is it a wannabe Shichibukai thing? Teach is a sinister guy, but Xia En is not afraid of what Blackbeard will do, so he levitates over calmly. What are you talking about? Just leaning over, Xia En asked blankly. It's not far from Blackbeard, about 2 or 3 meters away. Suddenly, the foolish smile on Teach's face turned into a grim smile. From a confident distance, he directly exposed his true colors. Your abilities are mine now. Dark water. He yelled loudly and aimed his right palm at Xia En. A cloud of black mist that was premeditated rotated like a black hole, producing an irresistible gravitational force for capable users. It turns out that Teach thinks that Xia En is capable, otherwise how could he exert such a powerful power on finger pistol? It has the ability to fly and emit light waves, so it has greed in its heart, and when it calls Xia En, it is ready for a sneak attack. No matter what ability user it is, as long as it is controlled by Dark Fruit's gravity, it cannot be controlled by itself. Knowing that Xia En has a strong ability, Teach is able to make such a move. Unexpected sneak attack, dominated by Dark Fruit, waiting for the end of this Marine Vice Admiral only to be killed. Take the ability, even if you don't need it, you can give it to your subordinates in the future. Teach thought that Xia En was doomed, so he didn't hide his excitement at all and grinned. Can result. Xia En was still standing in the air with her arms folded, frowning at him, with anger already appearing in her eyes. I planned to let him go, but I didn't expect to sneak attack. If I really have the ability, I'm afraid he will succeed. No wonder the Vice Admirals of Naval Headquarters say that New World pirates are hard to deal with, especially Blackbeard. But at this moment, how could his Dark Fruit power induce the dancing self to fly? Why can't you suck? Blackbeard's gaze changed and his expression froze. Isn't he capable? How is it possible? Then how did he manage to float? It must have been prepared for a long time. The dark water is not completely locked, it should be closer. Blackbeard still believed that the gravitational force caused by Xia En's defense did not control him. But at this moment, Xia En's thoughts were changing, and she was very angry when she realized that she raised her hand to kill the cannon. The light shines from the entire palm, and straight light waves burst from the hand. However, Teach, who possessed strength, was still able to recover, and there was no panic and anxiety on his face. Thief, ha ha ha, it's useless. The black mist in his hand punched hard, intending to directly use dark fruit to absorb the impact of this light wave. The fruit ability that I have been waiting for more than 20 years is the strongest Logia fruit. Absorbing any fruit attack is no longer a problem, even the power of Dad's shock fruit will be instantly absorbed by the dark mist. Logia, Paramesha, and Zone are all out of the question, and the little marine still wants to use finger pistol to use his abilities against himself. Blackbeard didn't take it seriously at all, and had already prepared the next move. Call out. The imaginable scene of falling into the black mist and swallowing it did not appear. The magic light cannon shot directly penetrated Teach's black mist, and hit Blackbeard's left shoulder with a swoosh, piercing through. The dark fruit ability has no blocking effect at all, let alone swallowing light waves. Even after the black mist was penetrated, the black mist in the hole was dissipating. How can it be? Blood spilled. With deep puzzlement, Blackbeard, who fell on the board of the ship with the impact force, was immediately surrounded by great pain. Dark fruit's double pain sensation caused him to fall to the ground with the impact, screaming desperately with a hideous face. And the magic light cannon that shot through Blackbeard skimmed over the head of the boat, fell into the sea and exploded, causing the tide to surge. Damn, it hurts. Tears and sweat mixed together, Teach wailed loudly. Why is this marine's attack so weird? Isn't it really ability? Damn you. Xia En already had killing intent, thinking about whether to kill Blackbeard directly. Kill him, and the summit war will not happen even if it is blocked in disguise. Well, you can do it, and you can learn skills more leisurely by yourself with less work. Just thinking about it. Suddenly, the sound of water rushing across the sea startled Xia En. Looking back, it was a saber aura coming from behind. Chapter 16 Blackbeard jumped into the sea to escape. This saber energy is not strong, even quite weak, but Xia En himself doesn't know how strong it is, and also knows that his body is his shortcoming, so he quickly avoided it after realizing it. With the blessing of the Wukong technique, his movement is extremely fast, and the saber energy flies into the air into the distance. It was the injured rockstar who slashed the knife, standing on the broken deck, the knife in his hand had just closed. This guy was choked awake by seawater. Xia En thought that if she threw it into the water casually, maybe Rockstar would wake up then. Bastard Marine. Return the boss's letter. It's an important letter from Shanks the Red. Rockstar gritted his teeth tightly, obviously his body was seriously injured. As a rookie, Shanks entrusted him with a heavy responsibility. If he can't complete it, he will probably be cleared out of Red Hair Pirates. It's my mercy not to kill you directly. Xia En was a little impatient, and her mood became bad when Blackbeard plotted against her. Are you sure you want to completely offend the Emperor of the Sea? Rockstar forced himself to threaten loudly. As a result, before the words finished, Xia En raised his hand to kill the cannon. Facing the finger pistol, who almost made him unable to get up, Rockstar screamed, his eyes were a little terrified. That hit just now, really almost killed him if he didn't block it. How dare you confront Xia En head on now? The speed of light waves is extremely fast, and there is no room to dodge now. Hastily plunged into the sea to escape. Immediately afterwards, without saying a word, Xia En raised her hand and used the magic gun light to kill one after another. Relying on sight to aim, the light waves shot into the sea water one after another. I don't know if Rockstar is in this state because of the potential for survival or luck. With the help of Mizukage's visual field of vision, Xia En's finger pistol was completely avoided. Without observation hockey, I'm in trouble. It was only then that Xia En realized that her weakness was so obvious. Instead of competing with the rockstar who dived into the water, he turned his head to look at the terrified Blackbeard, and pointed his finger up. He wants to kill me. Blackbeard's pupils shrank, seeing Xia En's movements and the murderous look in his eyes. Facing the finger pistol, that even dark fruit was useless, Blackbeard lost the courage to fight on, not to mention facing an opponent that could fly. Facing the light wave attack in the air on this three-step boat is simply a dimensionality reduction blow. I will really be shot to death. A sense of fear came to mind, Blackbeard's heart beat violently and he broke out in a cold sweat. At the same time, a beam of light from Xia En has already crossed the distance between them. The black mist is still blocking the front, and the bloated body is also doing its best to avoid it. The magic light cannon pierced through the small boat under Blackbeard's feet, fell directly into the bottom of the sea and exploded, causing the sea level to rise and begin to rippling violently. And Blackbeard grinned in pain, the horror on his face fully revealed. Dark fruit is really unstoppable. No way. After 20 years of lurking to get the ability of dark fruit. How could I die here? By the hands of a marine who doesn't even know his name. Seeing the light in Xia En's hand shine again. The small boat under the feet opened a hole, and the seawater poured in. Escape. I must escape, even if there is only a glimmer of life, I must not die here. Thinking of this, Blackbeard broke his heart and chose the only way to temporarily avoid being killed. Jump into the sea. Avoid the marine in front of you. Even though I know that as a person with abilities, I must be cursed by the sea, entering the sea is waiting to be drowned, it will not be much better than dying at the hands of marine. But there is no choice, even if you can live an extra minute, you will not hesitate. Enduring the severe pain in his body, Teach turned over and jumped into the sea. This process only happens in a very short period of time. Plop. The heavy body submerged into the sparkling sea, and completely disappeared from Xia En's sight all at once. And the second magic penetrating light killing cannon just passed by him, blasted into the sea and exploded on the bottom of the sea, and the tens of meters of sea waves raised by the two magic penetrating light killing cannons churned. This guy is really crazy. In order to survive from my hands, you are willing to jump into the sea. Xia En frowned slightly, a little surprised at Blackbeard's decisiveness. He is a dark fruit capable user, but Xia En knows that Blackbeard is very deadly, and it is impossible to kill him with this level of attack explosion. It's a pity. If I didn't have this last shot of the magic gun, I still have the strength to wait for the rabbit to consume him to death, but I have to leave now, otherwise I will have to go into the sea later. Turning her head to look at Rockstar, who also dived into the sea without any movement, Xia En muttered to herself. Continuously releasing the magic gun cannon consumes a lot of physical strength, so he made up his mind to fly high into the sky and roar away. However, Blackbeard did take a great risk, possibly even drowning. But a few minutes after Xia En left, a hand suddenly grabbed Blackbeard from the bottom of the sea and pulled him ashore. This person is none other than Rockstar, who was seriously injured by Xia En. In the surging underwater tide, he resisted the undercurrent caused by Xia En's finger pistol bursts. Not many will be found also falling into the sea, with the Blackbeard being pushed by the undercurrent and sinking. Blackbeard Teach didn't reveal his identity, he also made a move with Xia En, and subconsciously rescued Teach. After some rescue, Blackbeard also woke up suddenly. That guy is gone. Rockstar lay on the beach with lingering fear, panting heavily. The wounds on his body were still irritating him. Thank you for your help. Blackbeard spoke hoarsely, the double pain in his body made his expression twitch, and his eyes showed hatred. The left shoulder was pierced, and the ribs were bruised in the last blow. Almost got killed. It looks like you are not an unknown person. Do you know the Marine Vice Admiral just now? Thinking of Xia En, Rockstar couldn't help being a little terrified and a little puzzled. I have never heard of this character, let alone seen this type of attack. Not only can it fly, but the unknown finger pistol is also incredibly strong. No, I've never seen or heard of it. Blackbeard took a deep breath before sitting up. He did not mention his identity during the speech. At this time, Rockstar was also afraid, and didn't pay attention at all, but continued to say with some fear, that kind of attack, like a laser, is completely unstoppable, if it is not for jumping into the sea. Yeah, if it wasn't for jumping into the sea. Blackbeard gritted his teeth and spit out the words, but in fact, he panicked in his heart. The willows are dark and the flowers are bright, and he was actually rescued after jumping into the sea, and he was still Hongfa's subordinate. This means that tomorrow will not kill me. I've seen Kizaru's ability, but it seems his attack is stronger. Rockstar on one side couldn't figure it out, Xia En's finger pistol was completely beyond his imagination. Not only does he attack, he can also fly. Could it be the newly modified Marine? Chapter 17. The Red Group is surprised. Marine who can fly and can also laser cannon. Advertise here. Never seen a Vice Admiral. Is it Marine Science class? Vegapunk. The ability to fly is one ability that all people would envy. Teach is a little confused now, because he remembered that Xia En's attack ignored Darkfruit's restraint. Is it an ability or what? Is it really a product of Marine science? But none of the attacks launched by that Marine showed any trace of scientific transformation. I can't rule out this possibility. This kind of guy is too dangerous, I have to go back and report to the boss as soon as possible. Sigh. Rockstar endured the pain in his chest and stood up, he still sighed at the end of the sentence. Encountering such an incomprehensible enemy and almost losing his life, it is one thing to be afraid after being frightened, and it is one thing to worry about being held accountable if the letter is taken away. I was worried about the sudden appearance of Marine, and I was even more afraid when I was relaxing. In the end, I still didn't ask about Blackbeard's ability and so on. The phone bug has been destroyed, and is anxious to get the message to Redhead. Next time, I will never let him go. Blackbeard sat where he was, with a cold gleam in his eyes. In my heart, I suppressed the fear of the life and death crisis just now. Marine's problem must be clarified, but the most important thing now is to improve his ability. Otherwise, the next time I meet him, I'm afraid I will still be cornered. Rockstar didn't take it seriously when he heard this kind of words, and left in a hurry. They were all repaired so badly, the matter of revenge depends on what the boss says. We must hurry back, the sea in New World is not easy to navigate, so we must hurry up. Blackbeard just looked at Rockstar's back, wondering what he was thinking. Xia En got the letter and flew back briskly all the way. The physical exertion was too much, so she rested in the G2 branch for a day. And during this time, Rockstar found the lost classmate, grabbed the boat from nowhere and rushed back quickly. After resting comfortably for the second day, Xia En continued to fly towards naval headquarters. Another day passed. This time, Rockstar quickly returned to the temporary station of the red-haired Shanks following the same course as when they came. On an icy and snowy island. Being injured and running all the way, Rockstar looked even more miserable than before. The rest of the red hair pirates were shocked when they saw it. Boss, Rockstar doesn't seem to be doing well. Rakiru wakes up a hungover Shanks. They were enemies with the Whitebeard pirates, and the cadres were very angry when they saw Rockstar's tragic situation. They wanted to meet them again, and shouted outside. The letter came back. Why didn't you call Whitebeard first? Shanks was still a little strange. He signaled everyone not to get excited, and then asked Rockstar. As a result, after he informed the process, the people present were a little stunned. Not the Whitebeard pirates. Marine. He snatched the letter from the boss. Usopp, Lakilu and others felt a little bad. The boss's letter was obtained by Marine. Will they guess their next possible action from it? Who was going to snatch the Marine? Shanks took off the black cloak behind him, picked up the wine and took a sip. Rockstar said. At that time, I met a fat man, rafting alone. Then a Marine flew in the sky. I haven't seen it in Marine information, very young. And the finger pistol he used is like a laser. It's so powerful that the fat man and I were almost killed. Fortunately, he didn't kill us all. He took the letter and knocked us down and then left. Boss, this person is wearing Vice Admiral's clothes, and he can fly, and his attacks are like laser beams. He is either an ability user or a Vegapunk remodeler. Trying his best to describe Xia En's characteristics and the course of the incident, Rockstar was a little incoherent when he saw the boss's expression was wrong and worried. But Beckman and Shanks understood. Can fly. The attack is also very similar to Kizaru's laser. I haven't heard that Marine has such a character. No one in Marine can fly, right? Is it capable of firing lasers and flying? The cadres and Shanks were very surprised. They had read the Devil Fruit illustrated book, and it was not ruled out that it was not included, but there was no matching type at all. And judging from Rockstar's description, the young Marine Vice Admiral who did meet may be using scientific weapons, including flying. Recently, there is intelligence that the Marine Science class has researched many weapons of war. This approach is very much like a scientific creation. But without seeing it with their own eyes, Shanks and the cadres will not make a rash decision, but keep the Vice Admiral that Rockstar said in mind. But at this time, Beckman thought of something, and hurriedly asked, You said you met a fat man. It's a fat man, I didn't ask his name. No, you said he was dressed the way he was. Bloated figure, wearing a white shirt, missing a few front teeth. Rockstar recalled describing, You've met Blackbeard. Shanks, Beckman and the others reacted immediately, affirming in unison. Blackbeard teach. Only he will appear in that sea area at that time. Is it on the run? Blackbeard. The one who killed his companion and escaped from Whitebeard's ship. Rockstar was stunned for a moment. It's him. Rakiru nodded affirmatively. The appearance is too obvious, who else but Blackbeard? Isn't he our enemy? Rockstar's heart trembled, and he shouted that something was wrong. I made a big mistake, I actually rescued the hostile guy. He's the primary enemy marked by the red hair pirates, more hostile than Whitebeard. It's not surprising that you are new and don't know each other. Unexpectedly, our people saved his life. Speaking of Blackbeard, everyone present became a little dignified. But there's no blaming Rockstar either. Okay, don't take it to heart, these things are beyond your ability to deal with, it's good to develop like this, at least you come back safely. Shanks got up and patted Rockstar on the shoulder lightly, then told him to rest first. Turning around, he sighed to everyone, it seems that Teach is really lucky. That young Marine is so strong that he almost killed Teach. It can only be said that he was lucky. The rest of the people present were all cadres, and all of them had dignified faces. They investigated Blackbeard in detail after the incident. That fruit might be what Blackbeard wanted to get. Moreover, he killed his companions, escaped from under Whitebeard's nose, and survived the inevitable death situation when he encountered a mysterious Marine attack. Luck and scheming are all strong. Shanks had no choice but to deal with Blackbeard's affairs first, and immediately made a decision. Get ready, brothers. It seems that we will go to Whitebeard in person. Chapter 18 The task is completed, and the strength has been greatly improved. Advertise here. Taking the Marine branch as a rest point, Xia En flew all the way back at the speed, which is not too hard. Wukong is a well-known flying skill in the Dragon Ball world, and its consumption is not large. Seeing Marineford already in sight, Xia En smiled slightly. If you lift it up, you can cross the sea in just a few hours instead of a few days. Some dream that they can travel around the world of pirates in one day in the future. Now back to the youngest, Vice Admiral. Word has spread throughout Marineford in a short time. Xia En's appearance ability is also spread in the headquarters. As soon as they got closer to Marineford, the Marine sentry had already spotted Xia En, and immediately notified their superiors. When Xia En fell directly from the top floor of the fortress, she found that Marshal Sengoku, Granny Crane, Kizaru, and Aokiji were all waiting. Marshal Sengoku, mission accomplished. Submit the completed letter. Aokiji and Kizaru both showed surprise on their expressions. Unexpectedly, Xia En really completed the task. Mrs. Crane, Sengoku was even more happy. As expected, she saw the right person. Xia En successfully completed this task, which is extremely difficult for newcomers, and she is very capable. How was the process? Didn't you encounter any particularly dangerous things? Sengoku took the letter with a smile, not in a hurry to read it, but first asked with concern. Kizaru, Aokiji, Granny Crane and others also looked at Xia En, wanting to know what happened to the mission. He didn't reveal that he recognized Blackbeard. After all, Blackbeard now has only heard the name. Sengoku, Aokiji and others don't know the specific appearance of Blackbeard. Xia En said slowly. There is no danger. As soon as you find the rockstar, use the finger pistol to defeat it, find the letter, and there is a fat man who wants to sneak attack. Just describe it as an unknown fat man, without mentioning that he is dead. Listening to the mission process, although it is very simple, it is also a dangerous job to face head on. Maybe it's a pirate. Black mist. For a while, everyone didn't think of dark fruit, and Grandma he secretly wrote down this detail. Sengoku nodded, and after complimenting him, he took Xia En and everyone back to the office, wanting to open the letter to see what was written. In the process, Xia En was excited. Ding, complete the system task, reward the magic penetration light killing cannon, and the dancing air technique is increased by 100%. The physical fitness has been improved in all aspects, and the host can check it by himself. Close black lens bracket. 100%. Is it possible to evolve? While pleasantly surprised, Xia En also opened the system panel to check it out. Open black lens bracket extreme training system close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket host. Xia En close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket the fourth stage. Powerful. Close black lens bracket. Comprehensive value. 2400. Skills learned. Magic penetration light cannon 139%, finger pistol evolution, dancing Kongshu 120%, monthly evolution. The comprehensive value includes strength, physical strength, agility, etc. It is a comprehensive value of one's own attributes, and the physical strength is clear at a glance. Unfortunately, the skill did not evolve again, but exceeded the 100% value. Although there is no evolution, but this time it is a big harvest. Instead of lowering the surprise, Xia En became even more excited. Double. The value has doubled. The improvement of physical fitness is especially important for him now. After all, he is only much stronger in terms of skills now. If the body is strong enough, there is no need to dodge in the face of Rockstar's attack, just reach out to block it. Judging from this progress, Xia En's improvement frequency is still very high. The key point is skills. Xia En lacks physique, but skills are really powerful. Even without evolution, with the blessing of this progress bar, you know how strong they will become. You must know that at 10%, the magic gun has already shown its powerful power. Skills are no longer as simple as doubling. Its attack power may also be several times higher. If Blackbeard Teach was so strong before, if he was directly hit by a magic light killing cannon, he would be directly seriously injured, and he would not even be able to run. Thinking of this, Xia En followed behind everyone, and her mood became more cheerful. The system task reward this time is really good. At the beginning of the promotion, you can feel that the body is being nourished silently by the system, as if every cell is jumping for joy, feedbacking the implementation of the strength of the promotion. The fatigue from the rush was gone, enduring the excitement and physical sensations, Xia En sat in the position under admiral as if nothing had happened. And at this time, Sengoku, Aokiji, Kizaru, Grandma Crane and others would never have imagined that Xia En had completed an explosive improvement in just a few steps. For them, the letter from red-haired Shanks to Whitebeard is what matters right now. This time the task was completed well. The headquarters will also give a reward of 1 million Baileys for the task, and then you can go to the logistics to collect it. After sitting down, Sengoku knew that Xia En didn't know the follow-up of the mission, and said. Only then did he begin to read the letters. Spread out the paper that has been air-dried, the handwriting is a bit blurred but clearly visible. Sengoku's eyes showed surprise, from the expressionless face at the beginning to the seriousness. After reading it, he silently pushed it to Granny He. The result was the same. Granny Crane's expression changed immediately after reading it, and she fell into deep thought. The contents of the letter directly silenced the marshal and the general staff. Kizaru, Aokiji hurriedly looked together. Is that so? Is this the purpose of red hair? Aokiji and Kizaru were very surprised, and after reading it, they handed it to Xia En. At the same time, Marshal Sengoku finally sighed. I never thought that the Whitebeard pirates would hide such a person. The scratches on the red-haired face were actually done by him. Can everyone be surprised? In the letter, the red-haired Shanks wrote very clearly, I didn't care. The redhead who is not careless, and the redhead who has become the 4 emperors, was scratched by this Marshal D. Teach. It shows that his strength is also very strong, reaching the level of the Emperor of the Sea. Hidden under the prestigious name of Whitebeard, there must be a picture. The red hair seems to be very concerned about this person, even jealous. Aokiji said incredulously. The strength of the 4 emperors is not the slightest bit watery, this Teach can actually achieve this level. It is simply insidious and scary, but also very patient. What the redhead said seems to have a lot to do with the ability of the fruit he stole. Sengoku nodded, narrowing his eyes and thinking. What kind of person can lurk for such a long time? It seems that we need to pay attention to it. Fortunately, we got the letter. Kizaru's tone didn't have that breezy tone. The content of the letter has already revealed the redhead's worry about the runaway era, and even told Whitebeard to stop and be careful of Blackbeard. Leave this matter to the CP to investigate. We still have to pay attention to the four emperors. There's nothing better for an investigation than those spy agents, and without hesitation Sengoku pulls out a small white phone bug. The people directly over their order to investigate the traitors of the Whitebeard pirates, including their origins, etc., including the ability of the Black Mist. Looking at the development of the discussion, Xia En secretly said, Blackbeard's exposed ambition has been noticed by naval headquarters, Blackbeard's road to rise will be more bumpy. Chapter 19 Iron Body, New Skill Evolution. Advertise here. After the order was issued, Sengoku continued to tell everyone, Teach is a threat to the future after all. The important issue for us is the four emperors. This is the real issue. What will Whitebeard do after the traitor appears? Is it the reckless reward, or is the red hair able to persuade him to cooperate with each other? That's right, no matter what, after the red hair knows that the letter has not been delivered, I'm afraid he will go there in person. Should we send Admiral to stop it? Granny Crane also raised her head and asked. Generally speaking, contact between the four emperors is the most dangerous action for the world government. If this matter becomes the start of cooperation between the two sea emperors, that would be a bad idea. But after reading the letter, Sengoku doesn't think blocking is a good way. Even if we want to stop it, we probably won't be able to stop it. We already know Honka's intentions, and it would be too much of a loss to send someone to stop it. With Whitebeard's character, I'm afraid he won't listen to Honka's words. Sengoku seemed to have a different idea and said, Let the admirals go snoop and stalk, we always have to react. Granny Suru nodded, raised her eyes to Aokiji, Kizaru suggested. Hearing this, Xia En couldn't help but think a little bit, as if in the original history, when the redhead met Whitebeard, Marine just blocked it symbolically. I didn't expect to let Admiral take the lead now. What Xia En didn't expect was that Marshal Sengoku called his name again. Xia En, you go with Aokiji to spy on them. It's faster with you on the road. Remember to focus on stalking. It's best to listen to what they're talking about. At that time, if something happens, you can still use your flying ability to take Aokiji away from the sky. Sengoku looked at Xia En and set out the next task. At this time, Kizaru Pelusolino shook his head. Mr. Sengoku, I don't agree to let Xia En take risks again, let me go with Kuzan instead. That's four emperors. It's not just a little rockstar pirate, there are two big pirate groups, you don't need to think about how dangerous it will be. Aokiji Kuzan and Mrs. Suru all looked at Kizaru in surprise. He cares about Xia En a lot. This is completely when Xia En is a disciple. Even Xia En herself was slightly taken aback, did she even stand firm in the backstage? But obviously this time it still failed to change Sengoku's decision. Xia En is still the best candidate, and the degree of danger is not as high as expected. The scale of the two admirals is too exaggerated. They are not stalking but starting a war. Once they appear, the pirates will inevitably counterattack, and the aura of the two of you is not guaranteed to be noticed by Whitebeard and the red hair. On the contrary, Xia En is easy to be ignored, and Aokiji can restrain his breath better. Even if they are discovered, they will know that this is not a war. Sengoku rejected Kizaru's proposal, and explained the reasons behind it. After speaking, he looked at the young man sitting there. But at this time, a system prompt sounded in Xia En's mind. Ding, it is detected that the host has been assigned by name, and now the system task is released. Complete the assignment of Naval Headquarters, and you can get a substantial physical improvement and skill progress. Close black lens bracket. Then there's nothing to hesitate, and getting this reward can improve a lot. Xia En simply got up and said, I have no problem with this task. It's not a difficult task if you just keep an eye on it, and after getting the reward for the first task, the speed of Wukong technique must be ridiculously fast. As for escaping, I have a 120% dance skill, so I'm a little sure. What's more, the power of the magic penetrating light killing cannon. Xia En can't imagine how strong it will become, so it's time to try it. So I agreed without hesitation. Kizaru froze for a moment, then smiled and shook his head. Sure enough, he was a young man who worked hard enough. Just after returning from the front foot, he took over the battle against the four emperors on the back foot. Well, although I don't agree with this mission, it doesn't affect my appreciation. Granny Crane, Sengoku, and Aokiji are also very satisfied with Xia En. If Marine had a few more resolute, talented and powerful Marines like him, why not be able to deal with the four emperors entrenched in New World? Then the meeting is here, Aokiji, Xia En, without further ado, you are ready to go. Yes, Aokiji and Xia En left, Kizaru also left. But as soon as the two admirals went out, they stopped Xia En, who was about to receive a reward of 1 million Baileys. Boy, you seem to have only learned 2-6 styles. Kizaru remembered that Xia En hadn't learned anything other than finger pistol and Sukiho. Well, I'll teach him defensive skills this time, iron body. Because Xia En was going on a mission with Aokiji, Aokiji volunteered and said to Kizaru. Then go to my office, and you can start after you learn. Kizaru nodded and led the two to his spacious balcony. Facing Xia En, Aokiji immediately began to explain the essentials of iron body, demonstrating, control the muscles, and the body strength forms a defense as strong as iron. 6 forms. Iron body displayed on Aokiji's arm. I didn't use armament hockey, but I can hear the solid sound of knocking on the metal. Of course, Aokiji didn't show how strong it really is. Ding, successfully reproduced, you have learned the 6 styles. Iron body, close black lens bracket. It was detected that this skill is not powerful enough, the skill is undergoing evolution. Just looking at the display of iron body, the system prompt sounded. Xia En secretly smiled inwardly. The evolutionary steps of the system are always so fast. Pretending to be thoughtful, he acted like he was trying to use iron body and said, "Iron body, is that so?" As soon as the words fell, he saw that his whole body seemed to be covered with black coating, turning into a solid iron body. That's right, the whole body. There is a system replica, and the proficiency of using iron body is no different from Aokiji. Even Xia En can feel the tenacity in her body, and feel some different power from it. It seems that iron body is the basic practice method of armament hockey. However, this move directly made Aokiji and Kizaru look numb. It's like this again, this damn heaven-defying talent. It's this monstrous talent. Kizaru and Aokiji looked at each other in amazement. Shocking, even Admiral, you're savvy. After seeing it, I will naturally get used to it. Although the two of them didn't lose their composure this time, they smiled and appreciated. But I was still shocked. What Xia En learned made them all ashamed. But after feeling emotionally in their hearts, Aokiji, Kizaru and the 2 admirals looked at Xia En curiously and asked, is there any different feeling this time? They recalled that they realized finger pistol, Tsukiho's advanced version skills twice before, maybe they will feel something this time. Chapter 20. Follow Aokiji to eavesdrop on the conversation of the twin emperors. Advertise here. Sentiment. Not now. Xia En shook her head and released the iron body mode. It doesn't exist now, but it doesn't mean there won't be any after the system evolves. I just said, how can there be so many insights? Aokiji and Kizaru looked at each other and breathed a sigh of relief. It's normal at last, if they comprehend the stunt at every turn, do they still need to live? Since you can master iron body so quickly, let's go now. Aokiji also didn't want to waste too much time. Without further ado, the contact between the redhead and Whitebeard is expected to meet soon, if it is early to the scene. On the road, I will strengthen the use of iron body. This time the task is not easy. You must learn to protect yourself. Before leaving, Kizaru asked earnestly. Xia En's talent is really too high and rare. He can learn the 6 styles almost at a glance, and he does things neatly. In the future, he must be the heir of Admiral and the leader of Marine. These words are also reminding Aokiji. Do not worry. Aokiji glanced at Kizaru, who was particularly concerned, and nodded. Then the two went to the port. Did not fly directly to New World. After all, Aokiji is worried that Xia En will consume too much if he takes a flight with him, so he will use the method of flying in New World. Seeing the warship drive away. On the top floor of the fortress, Marshal Sengoku and Granny Crane are all watching. Redhead, Whitebeard is not a very murderous person, and it is safer to send only Aokiji than more admirals. Sengoku exhaled slowly, as if talking to himself. In fact, he wasn't worried about the death of Marine's once-in-a-century genius. Growing in a greenhouse, no matter how talented you are, you may not be strong. Willpower is the most important thing. What I worry about now is that Marshal D teach. Granny Crane said that she was not worried about Aokiji and Xia En, and the seriousness in her words was all because of Teach. The black mist ability of the specific fruit is still unknown, and that, the name with D. Yeah, Marshal D Teach. D is the trouble. Sengoku sighed slightly. This letter involves too many things that I don't understand. ... After a few days, New World waters. Enter the giant whale like Moby Dick. The red-haired captain is here. The Whitebeard pirates grandly received the red-haired Shanks on board. The officers and Whitebeard were on deck, waiting for Shanks to board. The rest of the red-hair pirates stayed on their red force, watching the boss board the ship. Shanks intends Conqueror's hockey, swaying violently as he steps onto Whitebeard's boat. However, this moment, the pirates didn't notice that it was in the seabed below the Moby Dick. A crystal-clear passage of ice leads directly to the bottom of the ship from a distance. Such a cool method was carefully constructed by Aokiji Admiral, a frozen fruit-capable user, to approach them and eavesdrop. Ha ha ha, how is Xia En? It's okay. Seeing Xia En's surprised expression, Aokiji couldn't help laughing. Xia En, who was wearing a big padded jacket and exhaled white mist, couldn't help being surprised. Aokiji Admiral is so strong, the use of this kind of ability is simply amazing. 6. As a traveler, I have never seen such an ingenious way of eavesdropping. It is estimated that Whitebeard and the red-haired person above the sea would not have thought that there were people eavesdropping like this under the sea. The ice is easily formed into various shapes in Aokiji's hands, some of which block the fluid seawater, like a pipe in the sea, directly extending to isolate the seawater, so that the two can come under the boat and slowly eavesdrop on the conversation of the two four emperors. The redhead met Whitebeard, Haki was exposed, it seems that he is not as friendly as expected. Aokiji also restrained his expression, controlled his freezing ability, and released observation Haki. At the same time, it indicated that Xia En could start recording. The above conversation can be captured through the powerful observation Haki. Soon, Shanks boarded the Moby Dick and came face to face with Shanks. Marco, Joes and the other captains exited the deck, leaving only Whitebeard and the redhead to start talking. Xia En listened to Aokiji's description, and began to take out the prepared pen and paper to record the above conversation. Almost all impressionable conversations. Why bet on New World? What to talk about teach? What scars on my face I didn't care about at the time. While recording, Xia En also focused on the system. 6 forms. Iron body is evolving. This is the first time I have encountered a skill that has evolved for so long. How could it be? Could it be that the degree of evolution is higher? Xia En secretly guessed, and her hands didn't stop. Originally thought that after recording, they could evacuate with Aokiji when they started, but soon, an accident happened. At this time, Whitebeard and the red-haired two fell apart, and the two drew knives, and the knives wrapped around Conquerors collided. There was a tremor. It seems that there is a huge shock wave above, shaking the sea water, and shaking the ice channel arranged by Aokiji to drop ice chips. What a mighty Conqueror's hockey confrontation. Aokiji's face suddenly became more dignified. Xia En didn't know what was going on, but felt that there was a vibration in the channel, and it was still improving. It's a hockey conflict. You must be careful when you encounter a strong person of this level in the future. Conqueror's hockey is a very top-level combat ability. Aokiji will turn around and explain to Xia En, who is a little surprised but not panicked. But the words are not yet finished. Suddenly, click. The seabed ice channel that was built actually started to crack, and it spread extremely fast under the influence of this hockey conflict. That's amazing. 4 emperors. Aokiji raised his hand immediately, and used his freezing ability to stabilize the ice crystal passage, avoiding being accidentally injured by the collision of hockey above. Feeling a sense of oppression from above, Xia En didn't panic at all. After all, she is not a person with abilities and is not afraid of sea water. I thought that when Aokiji stabilized the channel, he could continue to listen or retreat calmly. What he and Aokiji don't know is that outside the passage, a large number of ice blocks have been shaken and floated up. Father and Red Hair are fighting. Don't worry, Dad will be fine. Red Hair is not a reckless person. Marco, Beasta, Joes and other captains stood on the auxiliary ship to prevent their subordinates from messing around, and at the same time looked at the spectacle of the sky cracking in surprise. Not far away is the red-haired Red Force. Beckman, Usopp, and Rakiru stood on the bow and looked up at the sky, not worried about Shanks. However, at this moment, just as Beckman lowered his head, he suddenly noticed a piece of broken ice floating up from the bottom of Moby Dick's boat. It is less than 1 meter long, but the thick ice cubes are especially conspicuous in the rippling sea water. Ice. Beckman's thinking suddenly felt bad. Chapter 21. The traces were exposed, and the emperors were amazed. Marine flew up. Advertise here. The new world is a tropical ocean, there is no winter or even a low temperature moment. Even if the changeable weather affects the year-round mild zone, how could there be such thick ice? Some of them melted before they floated up, and the temperature is not low after being exposed to the sun all day today. Not to mention that with Beckman's IQ, it is normal to see that there is a problem. It's not right. The sea water may be weird. When he made a decisive decision, Beckman immediately began to call his partners around him to act. It was at this time that more and more pieces of ice in the ice crystal channel surfaced, and many cadres saw it. No matter how stupid they were, they could understand that there was something under the boat. There's a lot of ice under the Moby Dick. So acting quickly, Beckman first greeted Marco, Jaws' side. Immediately, he jumped onto the big boat and told the redhead and Whitebeard. Under the sea, even observation hockey cannot immediately detect the breath. Is there a situation? Whitebeard and the red-haired two had fixed eyes, and tacitly retracted their swords. Who dares to hide under their noses? In an instant, the strong knowledge of the 4 emperors immediately began to spread and detect. Marco even unfolded the fire wings of the phoenix directly, flew into the sky and inspected many ice blocks floating up. Sea water underwater. The traces are about to be exposed, get ready. Aokiji looked helplessly at the shattered ice channel, and sighed. Knowledge color has already detected the situation above. After all the calculations, I forgot that the ice crystal channel is very long. Even if I stabilize myself, the outer layer of ice will float up if it breaks away. There was no other way just now. When eavesdropping, if you use a wide range of abilities, you will be noticed by Hockey's Whitebeard and Red Hair. It's crushed ice. Xia En noticed the cracked ice channel, and immediately thought of the reason. It seems that it was discovered after the broken ice surfaced. Anyone who is not stupid knows that there are strange things underwater. If you look down carefully, you will definitely find the breath of yourself and Aokiji. Diving wiretapping program failed. At this time, Aokiji whispered, Ice Age. The turbulent cold air broke out decisively, and all the sea water was frozen along the passage. It solidifies rapidly along the way, and even the pirates on the sea can see a circle of white spreading rapidly. Freeze all their ships in a short while. Suddenly, the upper part turned into a world of ice and snow. Let's go quickly while their boat can't move. Aokiji is most worried about Xia En. Immediately lead him away quickly along the passage. As long as you open up a little distance, Xia En can fly away with it, and then it will be safe. However, at this time, Whitebeard and the redhead had figured out that there were people and nothing else underneath. And this breath is very recognizable. Aokiji. He actually played this hand. Frozen Imp. Marine Admiral Aokiji with the frozen fruit ability actually eavesdropped under the boat. The two of them want to escape. Hurry up and blast the ice. Beckman shouted decisively, and took the lead in raising a cannon to shoot down. The people of Red Hair Pirates have hands on. Aokiji and Xia En are helplessly exposed. This is undoubtedly a naked display. In the observation hockey of the two pirate groups, it is very easy to capture the breath with the lock. Aokiji, another admiral too, Marco, Vista, and the Whitebeard pirates also attack the ice. At the same time, I also guess that besides Aokiji, there may be another admiral. But this breath was unrecognizable for a while, and it was difficult to detect it in detail across such a far ice surface. All of a sudden, all kinds of artillery, slashing, etc. were bombarded all the way towards the movement of the breath. But the two parties used their firearms hard, and the slashing did not fail to blast the ice away, it was too thick. No, the sea surface is frozen, including the extremely deep places, exposing the breath to us, and it is too deep to attack. Both Beckman and Marco on the other side discovered this problem. This attack does not help. Marine still dares to offend. But at this point, Whitebeard was grinning with his signature grin. Not a happy laugh. Staring at the moving breath below, Whitebeard obviously didn't want to let the eavesdropping Aokiji go. High and low must be taught a lesson. Shanks watched as Whitebeard started to work. With a backhand punch, the white light shrouded his hand. The muscles are like horned dragons, waving towards the place where the breath is leaking below. Boom. The atmosphere cracked, and the shocking air cracks spread. The powerful vibration force instantly caused a shock, and at the same time it exploded the ice surface, it collapsed in a radius of hundreds of meters. Compared with artillery attack, Whitebeard's shock fruit ability is even more terrifying. The ice surface continued to collapse, and under the transmission of the huge vibration force, even the sea surface in the distance began to roll back with waves of tens of meters, slapping the frozen area. The shocking picture left a group of red hair pirates in awe. Below, Whitebeard actually exploded with a sea quake. Aokiji's complexion changed drastically, and he led the way in front of the passage. Xia En used Wukong to follow easily, but within a few seconds of running, the ice passage in front of him started to collapse. The shock made both of them shake. Xia En was floating without exception. Aokiji's face darkened. It was a coincidence that he was exposed like this, but it sounded pretty much the same. The situation at this time was that after Whitebeard shot, he and Xia En had no chance to run away directly along the aisle, so they decisively pulled up Xia En's coat. I can only rush out. Helpless, Aokiji said, decisively leading Xia En to the ice. The structure of the ice body was blocked by the ability, and the two were very fast. It's too dangerous underwater. If you don't go up, you will be trapped when there are enemies, and you will really be finished waiting for the seawater to pour in. This is the power of shock fruit. Scary. Xia En was rushed up, a little nervous, but also inexplicably excited. The ice channel stretching for dozens of miles and the sight caused by it are all being shattered, although I can't see how the sea water in the distance is rough. But there is no doubt that this is the strongest ability that every pirate fan dreams of. Wait, Aokiji is really eavesdropping. When the pirates saw a white mist suddenly rushing out of the ice tens of meters away and the young man in the vice admiral coat, they couldn't help being stunned and stopped in surprise. The two landed on the ice, allowing many pirates to see clearly. That's Marine Admiral Aokiji. Who's the other one? Marco landed on the mast, watched Aokiji appear with Xia En, and said strangely. I haven't seen it. It's not just him. Joes, Vista and other captains have never seen such a young vice admiral, and his appearance is strange. No, never seen it. When does Marine have a new vice admiral? We don't know. Regardless of whether it is the Whitebeard pirates or the Red Hair pirates, the enemy Marine, vice admiral and above information must be known. Chapter 22 Rockstar. It's him. He's the guy with the laser cannon. Advertise here. Such a young vice admiral. Aokiji. Just two. Beckman was also a little puzzled, watching Aokiji and Xia En staring at the youthful Xia En. Marine didn't seem to want to deal with them. Is the purpose just to eavesdrop? So why bring a young man? Are you not afraid that they will really catch them all? For a while, people from the two major pirate groups are all looking at Aokiji and Xia En. Faced with so many malicious eyes, Aokiji directly stepped forward to block Xia En. Don't worry, if you want to do something, you just run. Aokiji Kuzan was also worried that Xia En would not be able to handle the pressure of so many people. Unexpectedly, Xia En didn't panic at this time, she had already planned in her heart, and stood calmly beside Aokiji. Aokiji kid, are you tired of living? Whitebeard's tone was full of haughtiness towards Aokiji. Hee, Whitebeard, I didn't expect you to have a lot of pinholes on your body. Aokiji also immediately countered without any hesitation. Damn Whitebeard, it's so hard to speak, what is it like to be tired of work? Bringing a runny-nosed kid to eavesdrop, do you really think I can't keep you? Whitebeard grinned, and lifted the naginata in his hand, full of domineering flavor. Xia En looked at Whitebeard, who was several meters tall, with curious eyes. And Whitebeard and the red-haired also seemed to find that the young man on the opposite side doesn't even look scared at all. Seems a little excited after seeing them. After all, there is no new news about Whitebeard's next step. Just as Sengoku knew about Whitebeard, if he only sent an admiral, it meant that it was not going to war, so Whitebeard would not violently attack and kill him. Likewise, Redhead Shanks frowned. In such a situation, to do it or not to do it is a question. It's okay to eavesdrop on their conversation. Shanks thinks that there is nothing Marine can catch, and he doesn't want to provoke Marine's endless troubles. So he also said, "Don't meddle in your own business, Aokiji, this is our pirate's own business. Whether it's about your pirates or not, we have to find out." Aokiji said so, but he was relieved in his heart. Fortunately, neither Whitebeard nor the redhead wanted to keep them. A group of cadres looked at Xia En and Aokiji warily, but no one proposed to do anything to them. After all, the incident happened suddenly, and it was learned that they were bugged and were not surrounded by Marine. Marco was at the top, carefully observing the surroundings, making sure that there was no support from Marine, wondering if he should suggest to his father to keep them. "Tell Sengoku, we haven't seen each other for many years, if you're really that interested, why don't you come here in person?" Whitebeard snorted and turned to sit back in the big chair. "There are so many juniors here, you don't have to do it yourself if you want to make a move." After Aokiji heard this, he didn't respond. He seemed calm, but actually he was watching the pirates' movements vigilantly, and was about to take Xia En away. Unexpectedly at this time, suddenly, on Shanks' red force, a person exclaimed, "Boss! That's him. That flying Marine. He also stole the letter." "What?" Shanks, Beckman, Lakilu and others all stared at Xia En. Aokiji's face was also gloomy and he looked at the red Afro pirate who exclaimed, "Rockstar." They were about to leave, but it was this bastard who recognized Xia En. "The situation is not good now. Red hair pirates are eyeing on Xia En, and revealed that she can fly, I'm afraid." Aokiji thought that if he retreated now, it might backfire and lead to pursuit. But the reaction of red hair pirates and others, as well as Aokiji's changing face, and the action of freezing in place with the young man, on the contrary, confused the group of Whitebeard pirates who didn't know why. Can fly, ability users. Marco also looked at the young man on Aokiji's side. So, Aokiji brought a person with the ability to fly here, in order to escape smoothly after discovering it. Bista, Bramank, Lakyo, Yizang and a group of captains guessed. "Huh, flying Marine. What do you mean? What's your relationship with this Marine?" Whitebeard also paused when he turned and sat down, turned to look at Shanks by the rail and asked. Since it is tacit understanding that everyone wants to let go of Aokiji and the unknown Marine kid, at this time someone on your red-haired boat jumped out and made a point of identification. "What are you going to do?" "I didn't come here in person, I asked Rockstar to send you a letter." The redhead pointed at the guy on his boat and began to explain truthfully. "Just came across Teach near your place, and also met that young Marine who robbed my letter, and he almost killed Teach." Without going into too much detail, Shanks also hid the fact that Rockstar had inadvertently rescued Teach. If this is said, it will probably be another big trouble. With the temperament of the Whitebeard pirates, they will make trouble on the spot, so it is better not to mention it. But that's it. Whitebeard's face became serious, and his eyes flashed with anger when the name Teach was mentioned. Marco, Bista, Josie and others all changed their faces. "Asshole Teach. Did I only meet Teach? I don't know where Ace went after." Which one of the Whitebeard pirates didn't grit their teeth, and hated Teach who killed Sage and made Dad ashamed? At the same time, the captains Bramank, Lakyo, and Izo were also surprised by the young Marine next to Aokiji. Is it true? He actually has the strength to kill Teach. Marshal D. Teach, this guy who has been on the ship for 20 years, everyone knows that his strength is not simple even if he is hiding. The young Marine next to Aokiji looks like a guy in his 19s or 20s, can he kill Teach? Is it so powerful? Gu Lala, if according to what you said, that little guy almost embarrassed me even more. Whitebeard believed the redhead. In this kind of matter, there is no need for him to cheat, it is meaningless. And the so-called shame, the revenge of the Whitebeard pirates was avenged by Marine first. Isn't this a shame? So at this time, Xia En really gathered the attention of the audience. The three ships, the red hair pirates and the Whitebeard pirates watched Xia En non-stop. Seems to want to see if Xia En is really that strong enough to almost kill Teach. Maybe because Xia En is so young, most people don't believe it yet. Aokiji Admiral, what do we do now? I'll just take you away. Feeling that the eyes were not friendly, Xia En said to Aokiji who was one step ahead in a very low voice. You can't fly directly, if it's not fast enough, we'll be in more trouble. Aokiji said that. Xia En saw him with one hand behind his back, holding the golden phone bug and pressing the button on it. This is Buster Call. Chapter 23 Recruit 10 days ago, become Vice Admiral in 10 days. Advertise here. Wait. It's Buster Call. Aokiji pressed Buster Call resolutely. 10 warships will rush over as fast as possible and bombard the sea area together. Xia En was a little surprised. But judging from the current situation, the pirates don't seem to want to just let them go. On the opposite pirate ship, there are already cadres and captains jumping on the ice, and Whitebeard and the red-haired two are also staring at him. This is not easy to handle. It seems that today I have to start anyway. Thinking of this, I can't help but feel a little nervous. Don't underestimate the strength of the four emperors. At such a distance, once they are provoked to attack, we may not be able to fly away safely. Aokiji took a deep breath and said to Xia En. If it was only me, I would definitely not be afraid, but I was afraid that Xia En would be targeted by the pirates, so I pressed Buster Call without hesitation. At the same time, Naval Headquarters will respond to support. I understand, try to support as much as possible. Xia En nodded slightly and said softly. There are 2 sea emperors and dozens of first-class pirates in front of them, how dare they be careless? After Rockstar recognized him, he was targeted by a group of red-haired people, which led to a very bad situation at this time. I don't want to care about the purpose of your coming here, but he injured my people and delayed my affairs. I want to get this justice back for my brothers. Redhead Shanks spoke at this point. The invisible Haki invaded Xia En in bursts, bringing an inexplicable pressure. At the same time, it is also holding back Aokiji so that he does not dare to act rashly. This is Conqueror's Haki. Xia En clicked her tongue inwardly. If I remember correctly, Shanks' Haki can suppress his ability. So it is not a wise choice to run away directly. But it seems that the deterrent of the Conquerors is not so terrible to Xia En, but the psychological pressure has increased. On the other hand, Aokiji's face was heavy, and he was still thinking about how to get the 2 of them out smoothly. Whitebeard didn't speak either, but wanted to see how Shanks would deal with the 2 Marines who offended him. So what do you want? Redhead. Aokiji looked directly at Shanks on the boat and spoke. There is no way, the situation is stronger than the people, this is probably the most embarrassing encounter for Aokiji. Under normal circumstances, they have already fought. However, he felt that Xia En's flying ability would also be suppressed by the 2 four emperors, and the genius monster who finally appeared would not be hurt if he went on a mission with him. Do you want to keep them? At this time, Lakilu said beside Shanks. Marine Admiral encountered danger here and was captured by pirates. Then we will not have a peaceful life in the future. Marco fell down, and said lightly after hearing this sentence. Yes, the Whitebeard pirates actually don't want to cause trouble with Marine. Because at this time they still have to hunt down Blackbeard, find and support Ace, once they are completely targeted by all Marines, the result can be imagined. After all, their 2 sea emperors and naval headquarters have always maintained a balanced strategy, and they are not endless. Lessons still need to be learned, otherwise our red hair pirates will lose face. Rachel frowned. In fact, his voice was just to test the attitude of the captains. Shanks nodded slightly, looked at the absent-minded Whitebeard, continued to look at Aokiji and said loudly, I don't bully you, he wounded my brother, now let the 2 of them have a duel. Rockstar, I'll give you a chance to avenge your shame. Immediately, the red afro on Red Force became excited and geared up. Before Rockstar jumped out, Aokiji frowned and refused directly. No, Xia En was just a recruit 10 days ago, without much combat experience and lack of strength. Your pirates are just bullying him. People. No matter what face is there now, the main thing is to protect Xia En, plus he doesn't trust these pirates. Aokiji is not at ease at all. Aokiji, what are you talking about? 10 days ago it was just a recruit. No, isn't he Vice Admiral? Is he a relative of your Marine executives? He was promoted through the back door. If you don't dare to fight, you don't dare to fight, what reason are you talking nonsense? Suddenly, the pirate groups on both sides were in an uproar. Some people laughed, some expressed boredom. Some of the red-hair pirates even glared at them, thinking that Aokiji was just trying to put the red-haired boss on the back of them. Are you kidding me? It was recruit 10 days ago, and it will be Vice Admiral 10 days later. Aokiji, do you want to listen to what you are talking about? Marco couldn't help laughing, squatting on the edge of the boat and sneering at Aokiji. Whitebeard didn't speak, and at some point in his hand he had already picked up the flagon to drink, watching these juniors make trouble indifferently. But when it comes to Xia En, who was only a recruit for more than 10 days, but was promoted to Vice Admiral, Whitebeard's eyes flashed with surprise and thought. Marine Admiral, you wouldn't joke like that, would you? And the red-haired Shanks' complexion sank, staring straight at Aokiji. Insufficient strength. A recruit with insufficient strength can fly from the sky to destroy Rockstar's ship and steal the letter. I can think that Rockstar was careless at the time, so he got it. But now, he has to duel. Otherwise, you will face the whole red-hair pirates. How can a pirate have a good temper? Shanks' threatening remarks immediately made the red-hair pirates look at Aokiji and Xia En seriously. From recruit to Vice Admiral within 10 days, how could the pirates present believe such words? What? Marine, don't you dare to fight with me now. Rockstar took a deep breath to stop himself from thinking about being almost killed by Xia En. This will actively jump on the ice and shout to Xia En. He wants to justify the red-hair pirates and himself. Even though Xia En is very strong, it even scared him for a while. But now, the redhead is here, everyone is here, and the Whitebeard pirates are here too. You are the most dominant, and the opponent is under the greatest pressure, and you have a good chance of winning, so you must not be cowardly. Let's run, Xia En, a duel is too dangerous for you. Aokiji doesn't trust the pirates to keep their promises, even if the person speaking is redheaded. He has already planned to cut off the back by himself, and the ice will delay thousands of miles, so that Xia En will have time to fly away. It's okay, Mr. Aokiji, you're too protective of me. But I think I can do it. Knowing that she was going to stand up, Xia En smiled and said to Kuzan. The address changed from Admiral to Mr., because Xia En felt Aokiji's true kindness and protection for him. He's just a rock star, and he's defeated. If he doesn't dare to fight, he will be too underestimating himself. With a stride past Aokiji, Xia En showed no fear on her face, staring directly at Rockstar with piercing eyes. I agree to a duel, come on. Chapter 24. This guy's strength has improved again. Advertise here. Aokiji wanted to refuse at first, but Xia En actually said that he could. Looking at the back of the step forward, it seems to recall Granny He's words, the strong who grow up in the greenhouse are not the strong. Be careful, focus on fighting, and try to delay the time if you can. If there is any change in other people, I will rescue them at any time. Aokiji's voice came from behind. Xia En nodded, and stood still with a confident smile on her face. In front of them were 3 large ships that were completely frozen by the ice. The 2 Imperial-level pirate groups watched, gloating, waiting for a good show. And Xia En has only Aokiji behind him. But his expression remained calm, ignoring the other people staring at Rockstar, who also stepped forward and stood still with a long knife in hand. Hey, Rockstar, beat Marine hard. A chance for instant fame, Go all out. At least double the reward after this fight. Get it done quickly, and I will hold a banquet for you. The members of the Red Hair Pirates were yelling, cheering on Rockstar, and there were jokes. In short, it was very easy, and everyone seemed to think that Xia En was able to snatch the letter from him because he could fly and destroyed the ship first. In addition, Rockstar boasted a lot. Red Hair Pirates and his team thought it would be easy to win. Even Xia En Vice Admiral's military rank was disapproving. Little did they know, the louder the yelling behind him, the more flustered Rockstar felt. Damn, this guy is not that easy to deal with. But for the sake of the reputation of the red-haired boss, I will justify my name. I must take him down no matter what. It's a shame. Rockstar forcibly calmed down to cheer himself up, and he actually seemed to be able to adjust his mentality. Marco, Joes and other captains of the Whitebeard Pirates, as well as Whitebeard himself, watched with interest. The kid doesn't seem to be in a good state. Marco chuckled and saw some clues. Give him a fair chance, whether he can win or not is up to him. Shanks was next to Whitebeard and said nonchalantly. That guy can fly, doesn't it mean that he can also launch laser-like attacks? Yizhang smiled slightly and reminded. So when this fight started, we could see it clearly soon. As for the fruit ability or something. Shanks' eyes stayed on Xia En's body. As for Aokiji, other cadres are paying attention, and at the same time guarding the surrounding sea, beware of any ambush support from Marine. Gu la la la, you have a good idea. The little devil back then was not only independent, but also had tricks. Whitebeard laughed, and asked someone to bring a chair directly, and the old god was watching. To him, this kind of fight is no different from a child's fight, but he is also curious about Xia En. Can it really fly? Unique attack methods. Moreover, the 10-day recruit to Vice Admiral has to be approved by Sengoku. That old guy will not let someone who goes through the back door get into such an important position as Vice Admiral. No one knows. At this time, Whitebeard, relying on his understanding of Sengoku, is 70% to 80% sure that this Xia En has something special. Look, let's do it. Beckman's eyes narrowed, observing the two of them. To be able to join the Red Hair Pirates, first of all, Rockstar's strength is not weak. It is not a mediocre hand to break into the new world with a reward close to hundreds of millions. Everyone present was paying attention to Xia En, wanting to see what the youngest Vice Admiral would do to deal with it. At this time, Rockstar on the field set up a long knife, and Hockey covered the bright long knife into black ink, and rushed over in an explosive manner. Ice chips fly. The explosive movement speed is very fast. He has been brewing for a long time, just waiting for one blow to gain the upper hand. In less than 2 breaths, the distance has already been crossed. On the other hand, Xia En didn't seem to react, watching Rockstar raise the long knife and swing it down. This blow is the reward. He is a master who can cut out sword energy, and he is confident that he can hurt Xia En with this knife. Hockey covered blade scratches. But as a result, just when he thought he was going to succeed, Xia En's figure blurred for a while in his vision. The long knife slashed down, and the continuous knife air split the ice surface into long grooves. He missed it. The pirates behind couldn't help but let out an exclamation. In the short time after the attack fell, the Marine Vice Admiral named Xia En disappeared. How come? Rockstar was taken aback, and quickly backed away when he retracted the knife. As a result, at this moment, the pirates behind made even more surprised cries. In the sky, quick, just dodge Rockstar's slash. Ability to fly. The Whitebeard Pirates and the Red Hair Pirates were very surprised. With such a fast flying speed, many pirates didn't see it clearly, but the leaders of the 2 major pirate groups could clearly see it. The moment Rockstar swung his knife, he got rid of gravity, and his figure was already in the sky without causing any turmoil. He can really fly. Marco, Bista and other captains, as well as Beckman, Rakiru and others were a little surprised. There is no such thing as spreading wings to fly, let alone stepping on the air, flame clouds or something, but like a certain lion fruit ability user. Fly like there is no gravity. Everyone's surprise was precisely because they didn't expect this. Now Xia En is floating in the air, watching Rockstar calmly react. Flying. So easy, and very fast. Marco himself has wings that can soar and fly, but Xia En's is really very rare. It was the second person they had ever seen who could take off like this. It's very similar to Devil Fruit's ability, but besides Lion Fruit, what other ability can fly so easily? Shanks thought about this unexpected scene, turned to Beckman and said. As for the methods of the science class, maybe it can't be so natural, right? No, I can't think of any ability to do it either. Beckman shook his head, observing and thinking at the same time. At first they suspected that it was the marine science class, but now they can't help but question whether scientific means can do it. Gu Lala, interesting. Whitebeard's eyes changed slightly, and he smiled unexpectedly. Looking at Xia En's posture in the air reminded him of some schemer who disappeared for 20 years. That guy is definitely not dead, and the little guy in the air is not the power of Lion Fruit. What kind of guy did Sengoku find? And when everyone has their own reactions. Rockstar looked up at Xia En and couldn't help trembling. Others can't see it, but he knows that Xia En's flying speed is at least twice as fast. How did he improve so fast? Chapter 25. The crew of the Double Emperor is confused. This thing is called finger pistol. Advertise here. This kid, do you have to get close to hide? Aokiji was still a little worried that Xia En would not react in time, but after seeing the opponent's fierce/easily dodged, he felt a little relieved. It also shows that Xia En is sure to deal with Rockstar, even if he can't win on the ground, he can delay time in the air. People from Red Hair Pirates are still cheering for Rockstar, and people from Whitebeard Pirates are watching the battle with great interest, especially after seeing Xia En flying into the air. However, people including Aokiji didn't know, but Rockstar was even more unsure of winning. His eyes were full of shock, and he looked up at Xia En. Just by showing the speed of flying, it is already known how fast Xia En is improving. Swallowing his throat, and clenched a long knife in his hand, Rockstar's heart became more and more tense. Why did he coax first? It's not good to delay time like this. Xia En frowned slightly, noticing the change of Rockstar's expression on the ice. How dare you come up to provoke me like this? But at this moment, Rockstar looked back at the flag of Red Hair Pirates, and immediately mustered up 100% courage to explode fiercely as a pirate. What are you thinking about? I can't die with the boss around. I thought about it. With a roar, Rockstar raised his saber to slash Xia En in the sky continuously. Is this the way to adjust your mentality? What a ferocious pirate from New World. Xia En raised her finger to aim down when she saw this. See how you dodge such a dense attack. Swinging out a large amount of knife energy, Rockstar's ruthlessness prevailed, and his style of play completely ignored consumption. One after another with pure white fuzzy saber aura, piercing the sky and whistling. Like a harvesting sickle, its power should not be underestimated. For Xia En, who is currently in poor physical condition, he is not sure about the hard top. But Xia En really wants to dodge this battle, slowly procrastinating for time. There is no reason to keep hiding more than 100% of the skills. The sword chi roared in. The eyes are densely packed, and it can be seen that the people below are really trying their best to swing their knives. Finger pistol. Xia En shouted directly. The entire palm was surrounded by light, and a light blue beam burst out. More than 100% of the magic gun cannon, even the surrounding beams are restrained, it looks like a single beam. At the same time, it also shows that the power is even more terrifying. All the saber aura seemed to be affected by the magic gun light killing cannon. When the light beam passed by in an instant, all the saber aura was directly shattered. Silently, so fast that Rockstar himself didn't even react. As far as he could see, the knife energy shattered into air and disappeared, causing the expression of Rockstar, who was swinging the knife continuously, to change drastically, subconsciously wanting to dodge the beam of light emitted by Xia En. But today's magic light cannon has far surpassed before. Just reacting, Rockstar, whose body was already leaning to jump away, suddenly couldn't dodge. The light blue beam directly pierced his shoulder, and under the huge penetrating force, his body also fell down, and fell heavily on the ice with his back hit by the beam. It can even be seen that during this process, he was thrown on the ice and rebounded, and a lot of blood spattered on his shoulder. Everyone, including Aokiji, didn't expect such a scene, and they haven't reacted yet. Rockstar was blown away by the power of the beam that pierced through the ice and exploded. Haven't broken down yet. The ice surface where the light beam was located suddenly collapsed, cracks spread, and the entire ice surface shook. Xia En hit the magic gun light to kill the cannon, and it directly blasted to the bottom of the sea floor. With such a big commotion, how could anyone watch Rockstar fly off to the broken ice not far away? Everyone was shocked by this sudden scene, and their expressions became confused. Nima, this is finger pistol. This laser. This power. The whole ice surface is shaking. How could finger pistol do this? It's the same as Kizaru's sparkling fruit. It's even too much. What the hell is this finger pistol? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. As Rockstar dead, the ice even shakes the boat. Red-haired, members of the two major pirate groups Whitebeard looked at the ice surface that spread hundreds of meters, and then looked at Xia En in the air in shock. Let alone the ordinary members of this group, actually. Captains like Marco, Vista, Yizhang, and Joes, as well as captains like Beckman, Usopp, and Rakiru all had the same expressions. That guy is really strong. Is it devil fruit ability? It's not a scientific method, absolutely not. The energy emitted by his hand is very strange. It's really powerful. The captains and cadres were surprised, shocked, and dumbfounded, which is very exciting. Especially the people from Red Hair Pirates, the expressions on their faces changed from surprise to sinking with the reaction time. Whatever the attack is. Now Rockstar is clearly no match for that guy. Doesn't it mean that he will embarrass the boss again? Even Whitebeard and the red-haired emperors of the sea opened their eyes even wider, and were startled in their hearts, staring at Xia En in great surprise. Such a level of attack is worthy of his status as vice admiral, but this move is a bit problematic. Whitebeard quickly restrained his surprised eyes, and immediately spoke to the redhead. Finger pistol. The devil will believe your finger pistol. Even if it is out of the scope of finger pistol. 6 styles. But it looks more like a fruit ability. Shanks became more dignified at this time, observing more carefully with his eyes, not wanting to let go of any detail of Xia En's body. Marine, when did there become such a vice admiral? No wonder he was still a recruit 10 days ago. It seems that Aokiji is not lying. But with such a performance, it is said that he is not strong enough. Your subordinate has already lost. Marco also turned around at this time and said. But Shanks didn't care at all, and saw Rockstar struggling to his feet after being thrown to the broken ice not far away. The large piece of crushed ice is like a pile of sand and gravel, and Rockstar just smashed into it, and it took a while to get out. There wasn't much blood left in the shoulder, but the pain in the body and the fear in his heart made Rockstar break out in a cold sweat. This scene seems familiar. It seems that it was the same last time and almost killed me. Quote. And he's stronger. Flying is, and so is finger pistol. This is more than double the power of before. Rockstar thought complicatedly in his heart. But the more frightened he felt towards Xia En, the more rebellious he became. The red-haired boss is still watching. Fight. It was the gaze of the 4 emperors that prevented him from admitting defeat, so he unsteadily raised his weapon, wanting to continue fighting Xia En.